Baby, we're back at it again. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for jumping in. Another Calirado Kid live stream underway. Here we are live from the Cali Radio Shack back in Sacramento after a very, let me adjust some levels here, after a very long road trip. I guess very long is really like, it's not really quantifiable because people like Paul who can live in a van have much longer road trips. For me, it was about a week, but it seemed like a lot longer, right? It seems like a lot longer. And so we're back here in Sacramento, and I figured it's time to do a great recap because there's a ton of stuff to talk about. Just a ton of random stuff happened on the trip, a ton of incredible riding, and then all of it happened under the umbrella of excellence is what it did. And so I'm sitting here, and I've got a guitar, and you're wondering why. Was it just a prop? No, it turns out I'm an incredible guitar player, and I'm going to show you right now. I figured out how to run it through the new board that I have. Now, the downside is, and you guys can tell me if you hear this or not, I actually don't know how to play guitar. So I got a guitar once, and there was a program called, it was called Rocksmith, and it existed, and I got it from my PC, and I would play it in here, and I would practice, but eventually, like, I stopped doing that because I started working on video editing. So, like, I had a priority of actually learning how to play guitar, and I was actually getting pretty decent, and then I just completely gave it up. As soon as I started doing YouTube videos, I focused all my energy on making YouTube videos, and you're about to find out exactly what I mean by that. We're here. Okay, Paul, sorry. I really did that for Paul. Hold on, stand by. All right. Let me just get my headphones off. We don't need this. We don't need it. I got to bring this down so we don't destroy the whole live stream real time. Oh, everything's fine. Look, we've got it completely under control, ladies and gentlemen. Completely under control. Anybody that's never jumped into a Calirado Kid live stream is probably left by now. They're like, what the hell is going on here? Look, here it is. I'm just assuming that everything's working perfectly fine. This is what you do. You test it 18 times before you jump in live, and then you cross your fingers, and it's 50-50 at that point. But audio levels should be good. Everything should be absolutely dominating. All right. How's everybody doing on this Saturday evening? We're here, we're hanging out, and you guys are jumping into the Calirado Kid live stream. Look, here's the deal. Guys, I came back from Whistler, so there's a good opportunity. It is like the mountain biking mecca. It's the place where everyone goes to ride mountain bikes. It's a place that I've dreamed of for years. In fact, it was something that I planned on making happen, I would say about a year ago, but the borders were closed. Can you believe that Canada would close the borders for us? So they were open. I decided to cross on over, and there are mighty tales to be told today. But I wanted to jump in and give you guys an opportunity to ask some questions too before we really dive into some storytelling. And I've got a nice little cup of coffee. Have you guys seen these mugs, by the way? There's a local woman by the name of Michelle who makes these. I think they're pretty rad. So, yeah, I still like these. Yeah, all right, here we go. Yeah, so Whistler. All right, so here was the deal. All right, this whole thing was kind of a crazy adventure because I had a major work trip that led up to this whole process before I left for Sacramento, right? It turns out there were some major projects that were about to take place in Seattle, and so I was planning on going up there at some point, but the Seattle trip came up, so I had to go up to Seattle to do some work, and so I was able to frame that around the trip. So the first week in Seattle, I flew out there, and then I flew back on Friday. Then on basically Sunday morning, I grabbed the truck, everything else from Sacramento, and drove up. So as soon as work was done the following week in Seattle, I was basically able to just cut loose and go ride. And the first thing I did once I got out of Seattle is that Saturday morning, I went and picked up all the gear and headed over to Tiger Mountain. And if you guys have ridden outside of Seattle, it was a pretty rad spot and a great introduction to like the Lomi style riding that was in store for. In addition to that, a vastly greener pasture than what I'm used to here in California. Everything at this point right now is completely dry, dead, dirty, and dusted. But out there, it's still very green. In fact, a lot of the guys, a lot of the locals were still telling me that out in the Seattle area and all that stuff, that it's very dry right now comparatively to where it usually is. Which, again, from a Californian perspective, I wouldn't see that because as soon as you get back here, it's 100 degrees. Everything's just dead. Everything you see, except for Poison Oak. Poison Oak is the only thing that has any green left on it. And so I got to ride Tiger Mountain. Now, this was advantageous for me because what happened is I had reached out on social media, and this is super helpful now, like building a network like this, because I can reach out and say, hey, what do you guys suggest that I ride? So I had some local people give me some suggestions of trails. So I kind of already had a game plan, like lining up right going into that. So I show up to the trailhead. The hard part about this whole process is like every trailhead I went to, people were like, don't leave anything in your car or your truck or whatever, because It's just everything's getting broken into these days. So on this trip as a whole, very, very lucky on my side. Very, very lucky because I did not have anything happen, especially when I'm like traveling around with luggage and stuff. I tried to minimize that as much as I could, but sometimes I would travel what are they going to do? If they're going to steal my underwear, they're going to steal my underwear. The joke's on them, Anyways, so I get up to Seattle and the Tiger Mountain. I drive up, find the parking lot. Great. I start scouting the area out as I do. And then it just turns out, luckily enough, some local shredders recognized who I was. And they just wanted to chat. And I always like talking to people anyway. So it was awesome. And they were like, well, we're about to head up the trail. Do you want to just roll with us? And like, that is the perfect scenario, right? Because like now I'm not looking at a map. Now I'm not trying to figure out trail systems. And so that made my adventure in Tiger Mountain much easier. And so that was pretty rad. One of the guys, I believe, is Aaron. He's immediately like took me up. He's like, oh, there's this fresh trail that I found. So I was like, okay, we're not Strava nothing today, are we? Not that I Strava in general anyways, because Strava just is another hassle in my life that I don't quite need. Do you guys ever find that? Like with Strava, it's just another thing I forget to start and stop and all that stuff. So like the whole Strava thing, I just kind of gave up on. I like the idea of tracking yourself and tracking the rides you've done, but in general, it just seems to be more of a hassle than anything. And I've discovered like how much of a hassle it is. I have remembered since coming back from Whistler how much of a hassle it is to carry extra batteries around and GoPro stuff and all that. So it's been a wild time. But yeah, the Strava thing is like I don't do it anyways. But immediately they're taking me on some stuff that isn't quite sanctioned. And then we hit some of the local trails as well, the normal ones. So I didn't really document any of that other than hanging out with the guys and just carrying the phone around and hitting record every now and then. But great experience. I will say that it was a proper beat up because is a decent amount of climbing. And I was going into that without much riding the previous weeks because of the work projects that I had going on. It was just very, very time consuming. So I brought my bike with me, but I didn't really get a chance to ride it around very much. So I spent some time exploring downtown Seattle on the mountain bike, which was fun. And then just kind of circling the lake. I forget the name of the lake, Lake Washington or something. I forget the name of it. There's a small lake just outside of downtown. Anyways, I rode around that on Friday. And then that was like the first real ride I had done. So the fact that I was able to hang with these guys at all on the climbs and stuff was I was going to say mildly impressive. But now that I think about it, it was incredibly impressive. That's the best way I could describe what happened. That's the best way I could describe it. Yeah, Tiger Mountain, Tiago, that's outside of Seattle. So there's a mountain outside Seattle. And it was, again, like a great introduction to the loam that I was in store for on this road trip. The greenitude, the sheer greenery. Man, I just wasn't used to it. It was incredible. MTV Pivotal says, I'm glad to see you streaming. It's very entertaining. Your humor carries on from your vids and the streams. Thank you, man. Thanks for jumping in here. I try to make these live streams as entertaining as possible. So, but it's also a good opportunity. As I've said in the past, it's always a good opportunity to sit here and kind of interact with people real time, because you don't get that all the time when we post videos, no matter if it's up on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok or whatever else. You post a video, you put it out there, and you'll get a comment back and forth. But when you do things like this, we can interact real time. It's kind of fun. I always enjoy it, and hopefully you guys do too. Hopefully everything's on point. No quality issues tonight. I do want to show some behind-the-scenes Whistler footage that I may or may not make some YouTube videos out, but you guys are in here. I'll give you some firsthand knowledge and behind-the-scenes stories on some of the stuff, which I think would be interesting. So we're going to do that later, but not quite yet. We got to work through the road trip, okay, that you guys don't care about. It's a bit like when you go over to your friend's house or your in-laws. You can just frame this however you want. And they went to Europe, for example. Let's say they went to the Mykonos or Greece. Something they went like that, right? And to them, it's probably the most exciting moment of their life. And to you, it's more of a good for you. You know, it's not jealousy, but it's a lot of not caritude, because you just can't relate. You can't understand it. So like they come back and they want to show you all the videos. Like, here's the water. You're like, man, that's beautiful. But oftentimes, as you and I all know, like the reason why we're taking these videos is basically to show people that we're better than them. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, look at our life's way better than yours. Is that do you guys, or are you actually just really want to show people the videos? Sorry, my motivations could be wildly different than yours. I'm not quite sure. Yes. And if I miss a question in the live chat, you can ask it again. It's okay. I'm just going to be blasting through stories tonight. So I'm going to answer as many questions as I can. We're going to be hanging out. We're just going to do whatever. Everything's fair game tonight. All right? That's all I'm saying. Don't make me break the guitar out again. Make all your ears bleed real time. All right. Adam Mock is in here. Good to see you, buddy. Charlie Hicks is in here. Good to see you. Segment is in here. Got some SoCal boys representing today. Man, oh man, oh man. Yeah, I'm going to tell you guys all about Whistler. We're going to work our way through it, okay? Because we left off at Tiger Mountain, didn't we? Oh, BKXT here's in here, still endlessly working on my Nuggetorium 2.0 project with some Calirado stream action in the background. I'm pretty sure I took a wild road trip all the way up to Canada, and Brian has not left his shed. As far as I can tell, he is basically being held hostage in there by Sarah. He's working to build the thing out and I don't think he's unveiled anything publicly as far as I know, but I think the entire shed is getting a revamp, and it's basically going to be like BKXC 2.0. All right. I think he's hired a whole production team. As far as I know, he's got a brand new manager. Like it's just going to be like, you just expect like computer graphics. I think he hired ILM, the team behind Thanos, the ones that animated Josh Brolin, the Thanos character that animated it for the movies. He's got that guy working for him now. Brian's on a whole nother level, ladies and gentlemen, and he's going to show it off this year. He's not messing around anymore. That's what I heard. And it all starts with the shed remodel. Sorry, that was, again, if you're new to a Calirado Kid live stream, I apologize in advance for all the things you're about to endure. You're probably gone already. That's fine. All right. Here we go. Yeah, exactly right. Mesha's in here, says, hey, Joe, make live streams go for 3 hours. I'm driving back from North Star. Dear Lord, I probably could, but I probably won't. I'm going to try to tell as many stories as I can tonight, because I've got like the grand old question that lives in everyone's mind is Whistler all it's made out to be? And I'm going to say yes and no. And I'm going to describe that later. Okay. So I'm going to leave you, I'm going to catch you with a fishing hook right there. And then I'm going to keep you sticking around. Okay. Now you're stuck. Paul Shin is in here as well. Paul Shin, good to see you. So where we left off on Tiger Mountain. And as I left Tiger Mountain, I came away with an appreciation for nature once again, the sheer greenery out in the Seattle area, and had an absolutely amazing time. It was great meeting new people, and they were showing me around, and also stoked that my fitness levels were decent enough to handle a real trail again. You know, like I wasn't sure how I was going to handle all this stuff. And of course, as anyone knows that's in the industry, anytime you run into anybody that recognizes you, the first thing they generally want to do is take you down as many double blacks or blacks as they can. And so there's no real warm up. You're right. Like oftentimes it's like, we're just going to go ride something gnarly because we want to show you, you know? And so it's like, you got to be ready. And it worked out really well, man. It was a great time, absolutely amazing. Had a blast. And so after that, I had to pack everything up from Tiger Mountain. I didn't film anything that day because again, it was almost like a warm up ride, and I was stoked to get out. And so then I packed up and I drove up to Bellingham, and Bellingham is the land of the daily MTB rider Josh. Now, unfortunately, he was on vacation at the time. So the plan was to get together with Josh and do a super sick collab. I guess maybe not even a collab, more like let's go ride and have him show me the trails, but he was out of town. So I did find another group of local riders that were able to show me around, and we went to Galbraith, which you guys saw some stuff from. So here's the interesting thing about this whole Galbraith situation. A couple things, all right? First of all, that is an incredible trail system, like very dense, much larger than I thought, but they had this great structure. Like I went to when I first got in the parking lot, I parked, you cross in, I went to like a left instead of a right. And when you go to the left, there was just this like vast exploration area of like blue, green, stuff like that, just trails that were just accessible. And you saw a lot of families, a lot of kids, a lot of but beautiful area, like wildflowers blooming everywhere. Just like, it was just an amazing little pedal. Like I really liked it. I didn't spend a lot of time on that side because the guys that I was meeting up with, they text me, they're like, hey man, we're here. So we're going up to this side. So I had to literally get onto the Strava, the old Strava. And this is the first time I've really had to navigate. No, it wasn't Strava. I'm sorry. Trail Forks. I promise you I'm a professional. So to get on the old Trail Forks and actually navigate my way to them in an unknown trail system. And it was the first time I've had to do that in a long time. And it turned out to take much longer than expected because I had to cross all the way across this mountain of Galbraith, climbing fire roads, working my way up. And I did not realize the climb was going to be massive. But then, you know, you realize that's what you do as a mountain biker. You make a big climb and then you generally just make a big descent. So that's exactly what we did. So I eventually found them, and I'm already getting kind of nervous at this point because these trail systems, like some gnarly guys are showing up and they're all telling me how these are jump lines and all this other stuff. And I'm like, wow, I'm not very good at jumps. So I was almost like, what's about to happen when you're about to drop into some new trails that you've never seen before. And you're like, what are these guys going to take me on? And here's the deal. They laid it out perfectly. They really did. It was a great overview of the area. If you've ever seen videos from Galbraith, it's again, very green, very dense, but the trail system's crisscrossed. There's just networks all over the place. And it was an amazing time. They took me down a jump line to start, but it was very forgiving. And it was right off the bat, immediately on that ride that I discovered that there was something wrong with my bike. And the worst part about this is I kind of had a hint of it at the Tiger Mountain ride, but then it really showed through when we got to Galbraith. And the biggest downside to this is that I had this bike dialed before leaving on a road trip. You know what I mean? Like when you go on a road trip, you're like, let me get everything sorted. I put a new tire on the back, filled all the, put new sealant in all the tires, checked all the bolts, just got everything cleaned up, chain cleaned, whole bike detailed, just making sure, just doing a once over, making sure everything's looking mighty sexy. And I did this all. And here was the downfall. Okay. I went to go ride my bike in outside Seattle, just around the city. And what happened was one of the coworkers that I was in the parking lot about to go up, and they said, hey, like whatever. And they mentioned something to me. So I immediately put the brakes on, and I put my foot down, and then I went to go back up, and then I like kind of slipped on something. And then this is the foolish moment where you've basically built yourself up as a professional mountain bike content creator for an entire week. And then you fall backwards on your bike and roll in a parking lot like a buffoon, which is also very on brand for what I do. Anyways, but like I basically fall over the bike, because I'm like, hey, yeah, like boom, you know what I mean? Like, whoa, like, yo. And so I fall backwards on the bike in Seattle in a parking lot, no less, not even doing anything special, right? As is always the case. We never crash on anything hard. We're always crashing on the easy stuff. And so then I roll back over, and it turns out, of course, the bike lands right on the derailleur. The derailleur. Yeah, the old thing, which everyone, they all like really built up this eagle axis as being it'll just save itself. It'll mend itself. It's like basically like liquid metal for Terminator 2. That's not what happened. Immediately after that, the bike just stopped shifting properly. So it was just already like not a good sign right out of the gate, unfortunately. And so then as I leave the parking lot, now I'm running around downtown, just barely shifting in the lower gears, like, oh my God, doing micro adjusts, trying to get it dialed in, but it's not looking good, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't find out the extent of it until I got up to Tiger Mountain, by the way, when I start climbing, and I would go into the climbing gears, the lower gears, just like, just go shifting all over the place. And so more micro adjustments happen at the top of the mountain there, and we get it kind of working. It was kind of working, we're okay, but it wasn't quite right. And so I found out at Galbraith that there was something nefarious afoot, something a little bit more diabolical. And so we go down the first jump line, and you guys are going to have to excuse me with trail names for all this stuff, but it was like first jump line at the top of the mountain, and we're going down, and maybe the second jump of the day, I probably sent it, if I had to be modest, I'd probably say 12 feet in the air, but it was probably more like 18. So I'm up in the air, and when you get up that high in the air, time kind of slows down a little bit. So you're just hanging up there, looking downwards for a mighty fine time. And then I make the landing. Perfect. Perfect. There's a camera in the woods. I do one of these, and then chain pops off. All right. Chain pops off. So the rest of the run downhill, which is fine because most of it's downhill. It's like there's no more chain. So you're just flying down. Then I fix it when I get down there, and we go, good, great, climb. Go back up, do all that stuff. I think we did another lap, like immediately another lap on this jump line. And same thing happens. This time, instead of 12 modest feet or 18 real feet, it was probably like 22. But we're not really going to sweat those details today. But then we're way up in the air, and then we make that landing, and bing, bang, boom, chain pops off again. So now at this point, something's obviously not right. Like I'm like, dude, every time we go on this jump line, this chain's just dropping. And I had another instance where I was doing a climb, and it was just like, just came off. So now I'm like, okay, the master technician that I am, Paul knows this. I don't know anything about bikes. I'll admit it right here, right now. So the master technician that I am, we just got to ride it out. We do as many micro adjustments as we can on the trail, and there you go. The bottom line is we got to ride it out. But the benefit is that the transition factory is very, very close. The transition HQ, shall I say, is very, very close to the trailheads at Galbraith. Very close to where we parked. So that's where the next part of our story goes. Now I'm gonna catch up on chat. Hold on. Water saves the day, doesn't it? Yeah, it was made of liquid metal, 100%. Pulled a Sleepy Joe. Yes. All right, Julio, I'm going to catch up on chat while you guys are here. Galbraith is awesome. Yeah, stoked you found it. Did you do Bob's Trail at the jump line? I don't know what the name. Dude, I really have to go back. If that recent short video that I made where it's like making fun of the trail systems and all that stuff, that is pretty accurate. I think we did all those. But yeah, there's a lot of trails out there, and it's very dense. Very dense. John says, what a great day. First, it's my birthday, and then we have Joe live streaming. Woo! By the way, congrats again on 20,000 subscribers and beyond. Thank you, John. I appreciate the support, man, and happy birthday, brother. I appreciate you being here. That is absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. I'm stoked you're here, man. I really am. I'm stoked you guys jumped in here for this Saturday night live stream. We're here. The Calirodo's back in their Cali Radio Shack, and we're telling tales of a Whistler road trip. One for the ages, one for the record books, ladies and gentlemen. So if you have any questions as we go through it, I'll throw a little pauses here and there, and we're going to talk about it. And we'll talk about my experiences on the trails. But there it is. Access is good when I've used it, but it's really hyped for the new ideas it brings to the product. Yeah, my understanding is there's supposed to be like there's some weaknesses in the clutch or something. Some people were showing like they would drop their bike and the chain slaps. I don't know. Like Paul would know more about it, but yeah, Paul, I don't take many breaths when it comes to live streaming. You know how it goes. Paul knows I can talk. But there's like, my understanding is people were complaining about the clutch issue on the Eagle Axis, that it was weaker than the normal gearing. I don't know. Again, I still like the one benefit that I see with it is like the infinite shift stuff. But like other than that, it doesn't like wow me that much. So who knows? If anybody wants to buy my signed broken derailleur for $900, I'll sell it to you right now, right off the bat, right off the bat. So speaking of Galbraith, and this is the fun part, we're going to get to the transition HQ in a second, but the one thing that I found especially, like what I love most about this mountain bike community sometimes is like how much they know that I don't, and like how involved they are. So for example, when I put up the Galbraith video where I'm talking about the guys explaining the trailheads and the guy's taking the notes, like, yeah, I got, okay, wait, what to trails? Yeah, what trails? And he's like just naming off every trail. You got it right. Like that one was very interesting because when I filmed that, and this is a great story too. I was literally texting Paul real time about this. I'm in this parking lot, and there's a main parking lot at Galbraith. I think the south parking lot, and then there's a north parking lot. I may have these mixed up. You guys in chat can correct me on this. The bottom line is the big parking lot is where everybody goes to ride the gnarly stuff. The small parking lot, my understanding is there's more of the XC trail starts from there and things like that. Anyways, I was in the big parking lot, and cars were just constantly rolling through and just making it hard to film the thing that I wanted to film. So I drove over to the smaller parking lot, knowing that it's still Galbraith. Therefore, people will still know that I'm talking about those trails, right? Now what happens? I drive into the parking lot. I actually ran into some guys from the Lost Co., and they were filming something out there, maybe for the YouTube channel. They wrote me off like nobody. But guess what? They're going to know my name in no time. Anyways, then a car pulls up, and they get out. And this is the rant that I went on an IG story. I was like, are you kidding me? They pull up right now. Okay, look, I've got all my camera gear ready to rock. It's sitting there. I'm about to start filming. And look, I'm the idiot in the parking lot filming. I don't care. I'll wait. They have priority. All right, because I'm just a buffoon trying to film something in a parking lot. I get it. You guys take priority. But what happens now is they get out of their car, and guess what? It's chit-chat time. And they're outside of their car in the parking lot, just sitting there like, oh, yeah, I used to ride here, I used to ride there. Like, okay, cool. That's what you do on the trail. Once you get on the trail, you talk about that stuff, right? And then I'm like sitting there. I've got the script on my phone. And so then they start going, okay, well, let's take our tire pressure. I'm like, oh, my God. So now, you know what I do? I grab my notepad that I use as a prop, and I'm just writing the script out at this point just to buy time. Like literally the script, it's not even like that big, right? But you're making all, okay, this guy, all this stuff. And you're writing all this stuff. Then they're over there like, oh, let me check this. Oh, let me check that. Oh, I got to check my chain. Got to do this. I'm like, all right. I think that as a whole, here we go. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, as a mountain bike community as a whole, we need to get it together, right? These guys were just opened up my eyes to the problem that we have in the mountain bike community. And the problem is that these people, that all of us, and we are all guilty of this, all right? I'm guilty of it just as much as you are, is that when we get to the parking lot, we take our sweet, sweet time. Look, and you never know when there's some, international superstar sitting in his truck ready to film, right? What you need to do, what we all need to do, is get all this stuff taken care of at home, all right? What are we doing this at the trailhead for? Why don't we, in our garages, get our tire pressures checked, get our chains lubed, and do all that stuff? Why is it that we have to do it at the trailhead to the annoyance of someone that could be doing a glow? You know what I mean? So what I think is, as a whole, let's bring it back down, shall we? As a whole, I think us as mountain bikers and riders in general could maybe improve our preparation a little bit for a ride. I think that we as a whole could just do some preparation in our garages from now on instead of doing it at the trailhead, because it was a lot. I was there for 20 minutes. And it gave me a great idea for a reel, actually. So maybe there was something out of it, but like it was absurd. It was absurd. Like, okay, let me check this. I'm like, oh, I'm texting Paul real time. I'm like, oh, you're not going to believe it right now. Now they're checking their tire pressures. You're not going to believe it, Paul. They're checking their chain spacing. Like, what are we doing? Like, it's just, it was absurd. It was quite ludicrous. Sorry. Let's bring it back down. I'm getting distracted right off the bat, because my point was that one of the things I appreciate about the mountain bike community is how astute they are. So when I filmed that, all right, it was in the Galbraith trail system area, but it was in a different parking lot than the trails that I described in the video. And they knew that right off the bat. I love it, because I filmed it out there, and they're like, hey, if you're going to ride those trails, why are you in the south parking lot? And I was like, oh my God, I got more than one of those comments. It was great. It was like, dude, I love that. Like, the locals found it. They found the video, they dug it, and then they were astute enough to realize, like, why are you in that parking lot if you're riding these trails then? And like, they called me on it. I was like, all right. I needed a quiet parking lot. And that's kind of what I got, despite the fact that I had to wait for a very long time for these people to just get their bikes together, just to get them together. So that was my experience in Galbraith. And then from there, went over to Transition HQ, which was interesting, which was quite interesting, with a broken bike. All right, so after that ride where my chain's just dropping off on the jump lines and really just dropping off on a couple climbs too, so there's something very irregular happening. We went over to Transition HQ, which is right down the road in Bellingham. So the parking lot's there, maybe less than a mile is Transition HQ. And what they have is something called the Outpost there. And the Outpost is basically just, they've got a ton of beer. They'll serve some snacks and stuff. I think they have food trucks occasionally. And just tons of parts and bikes and demos. So you can demo a Transition bike from there if you schedule it ahead of time and take it right up to Galbraith, right up the road. I thought it was really cool. It was a great little setup. And you could see like 80% of the bikes on the Galbraith trails were essentially Transitions. And I thought that was cool, because it's like, yeah, why not support your local bikes, especially if they're good, right? So anyways, we go over there and I'm like, look, guys, my bike, something's wrong with it. You guys don't, because they have a bunch of mechanics behind the counter. And I was like, you guys don't have to look at this. It's not a Transition, whatever, but something's weird's happening, man. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm not an expert. So he's like, yeah, let me take it over here. And I think the guy's name was Forrest. And I found this out because the mechanic, I somehow got in one of my videos. I did a story post there. And Jay, a.k.a. the one and only Bikesome, who I think is out racing today out in North Star, but he messages me immediately. He's like, hey, wait a minute, that's my buddy Forrest. So, like, it's such a small world, right? Like, Jay, who lives in the Bay near me, he rides Skyline and stuff all the time, now working for Norco. He texted me, he's like, oh, I know that guy. Like, it's like, I love that. Like, that interconnected community. Anyways, so I give him the bike. He's like, yeah, let me take a look. I was like, hopefully it's just something fast. You know, so there's got to be something stupid with it. So I give him the bike, and I'm like, I'm going to go grab a beer. I'm hanging out with the guys that showed me around the local trails there. And their wives come in, and I stink. I feel bad, like, annoying them. Their wives don't know who the hell I am. You guys know already I'm kind of loud as it is. So they weren't quite sure what to make of me. Hopefully that didn't come off too bad. But, you know, like, I was trying to film stuff in there and things like that too. You guys know apparently I don't have a lot of shyness in me. So anyways, we're there, and like maybe 20 minutes goes by before I realize they're still looking at the bike. And I was like, man, let me hand this over. I figured this is going to be like a pretty easy little process to fix this thing. And I'm looking over there, and God, they're just diving into it. He's like rebending the derailleur hanger. So the derailleur hanger's bent because it makes sense. It took that hit in Seattle. So that was one of the problems going on. So he's got this big old thing, and he's moving the derailleur hanger. I'm like, okay. They're still working on it. It should be done in no time. Not because I wanted them to hurry, but because I felt bad that I had inconvenienced them. You know what I mean? Those guys don't need to be working on my bike. They got other stuff to do. I felt bad about that. So anyways, he's over there bending the derailleur hanger back. I'm like, okay, they're about to put it back together. It's all good. Another 10, 15 minutes goes by, and you look back and like take a sip out of my beer, relaxing. And you look back, and there's 3 guys like standing around the bike. Can I give you a visual of what it looked like? Imagine there's 3 of me, and they're all just sitting there like, one of those moves. And at that point, I was like, okay, something's going weird here. Because you had like 3 mechanics. Let me just get in a position here. You had 3 mechanics like staring at it like, what is going on? So as they kind of like got a couple more ideas in their head, they were basically like, okay, maybe it's the chainring. So I was like, hey, if I need to buy one, it's totally fine. Just whatever you need. Because I already bought like the day before, I'd bought a bunch of supplies from just like extra chain, just little things that I might need for the road trip. So I was like, there's a good chance to load up and support the shop since I'm here and I'm kind of bogarting their Wi-Fi to load some stuff up. So anyways, I was like, just let me know what I need to buy. And he's like, we're going to try something first and see if it works. So they go into the back room and they found, I think I had a 32 tooth or something, maybe 34. I should know that because it's right here. Oh, God. 30 tooth. Really? Oh, what do I got now then? I don't know what the hell I'm doing. All right. So anyways, the bottom line is they replaced the chain ring. They have one in the back. It's kind of just one they pulled off a bike or whatever. And they get it on. It's a little bigger than my other one, but slippity slappity, ding dong doogity. It works. Bing bang boom. Like that. So it stops dropping the chain from what we could tell. So they immediately take the bike out to the front and they have this little jump set up right out front of the Transition HQ. If you're just jumping in, we're at the Transition HQ and they're working on my bike. Okay. And they've got this little jump set up front. So you could just kind of like do a little test jump if you're renting a bike or whatever from them. And so he takes the bike, he runs it over to the jump and sends the jump higher than my bike has ever been sent. Like it's not even like a debatable situation. He jumped the bike higher than it's ever been. And the chain didn't fall off. So it was a pretty clear indicator that whatever they had done had probably fixed the problem. It was, I just looked at it, I was like, I didn't know my bike could do that. Oh God. Yeah. So that they threw that on and it was unanimously agreed upon that the bike was now fixed. Now, after said situation took place, I was like, dude, I appreciate you, man. I bought the guy a beer for us. I was like, I'm buying beers. Like, hey, you want one? He bought a non-alcoholic, but he's like, yeah, if you want. I was like, cool. Yeah. Boom. Throw it on my tab, give it to him, whatever. Like, and he was super rad about it. And then when it came time to all this stuff, it was again, like at this point, 45 minutes had gone by and the bike was now working properly. But this is a Transition HQ. They don't need to be working on a Yeti. I get enough crap already for riding a Yeti. Brian's in here. He knows. But anyway, so they throw it on, it works great. And I was like, dude, I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. That sucked. That was like way more time than I thought it was going to be. And I was like, what do I owe you? Like, just let me know and I'll pay right now. And he's like, nah, don't worry about it. It's fine. I was like, what? You guys didn't have to do that. And like, I'm going to go on record as saying they didn't know or care who I was. Like Forrest might've known that I knew his buddy, but they didn't know anything about the Calirado Kid, nor did they care. So they treated a customer like that. And, they're going to tell you like at the end of the day, it's like, that's how you bait and switch people to buy a Transition. But, that was cool. I thought it was cool. And they weren't doing it because I was an internet celebrity, like a B list or C list celebrity, right? What would you say? Maybe a D list, maybe F. I don't know. We could go down the alphabet all day long. I don't want you guys to chime in and chat because you're going to really humble me. Okay. But yeah, so they did that. And I thought that was really cool. So when I got the idea of filming that baby reel where it's like the reveal of the bike is the baby, and all that, I was like, let me see if they're cool with me just shooting it over there. So I went over there the following day and asked them, and they're all like, what do you want to do? Like, I was like, here's what I think it'll be fine. It'll be great. It'll be great. And so they don't get it. Like most people don't get it when I try to explain the concept, and they're like, especially like, you're an idiot. And so, which is true, very true. So now I got like the camera set up in the shop, and it's a quiet day because it was like a Monday, right? It was a Monday morning or something. So it was pretty quiet. There wasn't a lot of bike rentals. It wasn't a weekend. So I was setting up the cameras in there, and like, just random people from the Transition HQ would be walking through the outpost and just looking at me like, what does this guy do? And, you have to imagine like this guy, oh, he's a TikToker or something like, and it's like the no concept of like, if you see one of my videos, they're not that stupid. They're actually pretty good. They're well structured. They make lights at points in the industry, and I ham them up, of course. They're always a caricature of something. But, at the end of the day, it's like, it's still very much bike related. So they were cool about it. But it's also obvious. They're like, what is, you just like people walking through, like, what is he doing? Because you get that influencer stigma, right? Where like, if you're out doing something and you're got a camera, the rider, anybody that's just a rider is like, this guy's an idiot. And so like you get that look quite a bit. And I think as YouTubers, anybody that's got a camera or whatever gets used to that at some point where they're like, whatever. But anybody that knows who I am, which happened everywhere I rode, like, it all makes sense. It all makes sense that I've got a camera. I've got a purpose, right? I'm coming out there with a purpose. Anyways, Brian Gong he's a Yeti rep, and he's doing a Yeti event coming up soon in Downeyville. I think it's on October 9th or 8th and 9th. He may confirm that in chat as well. But you don't get crap for riding a Yeti. It's not even crap. Like it's just people like typical Yeti rider. You're like, oh God, like nowadays, like there's so many bike companies. This is another rant I could probably go on right now as I would continue on with storytelling. This is another problem with the mountain bike industry right now. Is there's so many bike companies that we've got like what you would describe as like a bike hipster atmosphere that's starting to form or has formed over the last couple years. And the way I would describe that as such is like, oh, well, that brand sells too many bikes. It's not cool anymore. All right. You got to ride this craft brand. It's like, that's where we've gotten. And I see that more and more. Do you guys ever notice that? Do you guys ever notice this now? Like where, for example, it's like, oh, you ride a Specialized. Oh man, you sell out, or whatever. Like you need to ride a Gorilla Gravity. And like, it's like, oh God, this is where we're at. This is what we've become. This is what we've become. And I see it. I see it. You guys must see it. Like, and that's nothing wrong with riding craft brands versus big brands or whatever else. Like, Santa Cruz versus like a Revel or a Transition or something like that, right? Like, I don't know. I'm still not smart enough to know the size of these companies, but like the bigger companies, now they make a ton of bikes. They sell a ton of bikes. You see them a lot on the trails. Like, now there's that little hipster spin on it where they're like, oh, riding a Santa Cruz, huh? Anyways, Santa Cruz's latest innovation, by the way, multi-million-dollar innovation is including a storage bin on their bike frame. So that's where we're at as well. All right, I don't want to go too far into that, okay? I'm just basically going to ruin every sponsorship opportunity I could possibly have, and that's what happens during live streams. That's no sponsor in their right mind would ever watch this, except for the last live stream where where the gentleman from Giro jumped in and corrected me on Giro's parent company, which also the parent company of Bell, which I was talking crap about Bell a little bit. And it's fine. It's on brand for the Calirado Kid. All right. Charlie Hicks. Boom. You, sir, are an absolute maniac. $19.99 donation. Glad you had a great trip. Here's a bit of help for the repair. Thank you, man. Yeah, the bike's completely destroyed. In addition to that, I'll tell you all about, like, there's more things wrong with it. There's a lot of things, but we're gonna keep going down this rabbit hole of travel. Paul, we're leaving the Transition HQ now, all right? We're leaving the Transition HQ now, and we're going up to visit the old Paul the Punter. The moment he's been waiting for, really. The cross into the Canada border. And this was an interesting element because, like, there's a couple ways to cross in from this. You can stay on I-5, or you can take a little trucker route, and the trucker routes generally take less time to get across. So I was, booked it to a trucker route. And Paul gave me some great advice before crossing in the border. And this is the case for any border probably. And I've always thought it was interesting because whenever you cross into a border, I'm like, man, it feels like you're doing something wrong when you're not doing something wrong. You're just driving in like, I'm going to go ride some bikes, I'm going to ride some bikes. But you go into another country and it feels like a criminal act. It turns into like it's almost like, wait a minute, do I have anything that could match what I'm thinking of? It would be like, would this do it?
Check. Excuse me, sir. Can I see your ID? Okay.
That's not the voice profile I was looking for. But it's like you immediately get interrogated on the line. Paul gave me some great advice. He says, look, here's the deal. When you get to the border, just use one word responses to everything. And I was like, Paul, I have a really hard time with that. I have a tendency to ramble. He's like, don't do that. And so anyways, we get to the border and there's a couple simple questions, right? It's like, are you bringing any knives, guns? I was like, I'm American, buddy. Of course I'm bringing some goddamn guns with me. And so, yeah, then there was anal searches and all that stuff. But yeah, it's it was a lot. No, but it was very simple. It was like, hey, we're coming here to ride mountain bikes. Are you bringing any food, guns, knives? No, none of that stuff. Nope. Boom. Where are you staying? With my buddy Paul. He's my bestest friend. And they're like, okay, oh, you mean Paul the Punter? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, come on in. VIP treatment. You know what I mean? Easy. So anyways, crossing into Vancouver, making the drive into Squamish. That's where we're going to leave it right now. Spokesman MTB, look at you absolute maniac. Wait a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Boom! $100 donation from Spokesman MTB. Steve, what the hell are you doing? I know. Yeah, my bike is so screwed up. I'm going to tell you guys all about the things that are wrong with it. It's just bad news. But Spokesman is in here. Steve, good to see you, man. Where are you, dude? Are you in Durango? Are you back in San Jose? Miss you, buddy. It'll be good to ride with you soon now that I'm back in the States. I feel like I'm so worldly now when I can say that I'm back in the States, you know? It's amazing. It's amazing. Ah, I love it, Steve, dude. Man, by the way, I've been keeping track of Chasing Epic, and Steve and I met on a Chasing Epic trip. And the other Steve, Steve Monahan or whatever, who founded Chasing Epic, they've been doing some amazing trips, man. I can't wait to get on one of those rides. The Crested Butte trip was still one of the funnest times ever. And that's where I met Steve. And we've known each other ever since. The best. Such a good dude. Anyways, and we stayed together in Sedona for the Sedona Mountain Bike Fest too, man. We're the bestest bros all over the world. So there you go. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. So we crossed into Canada, we got into Squamish, and like at that point you start to realize that like the old British Columbia is very, very, very scenic, you know, comparative to the stuff that we see out here, which is like, again, everything in California is absolutely dry, dead, and dusted. And then you go up there and it's like greenitude everywhere. It's just beautiful. And the drive along the coast, if you guys have ever looked at or been to Squamish or Whistler, they call it the sea to sky road, I believe, the highway. And so as you're cruising along the basically the coastline, you're coming in with like towering mountains, and it's just like, welcome to British Columbia, motherfucker. You know, sorry for the language. Can you bleep? Hey, can somebody bleep that out in post? Anybody? Okay. Anyways, that's basically, Canadians wouldn't say that. They'd say, welcome to Canada, eh? You know, like, what, eh? Anyways, so you're driving in, and it's just absolutely scenic, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And there you go. We got into Squamish, and it was off to the races from there on out. Me and Paul were hanging out. Paul's going to have, the sea to sky highway. We had a lot of hijinks and a lot of stuff. Like, it turns out that Squamish has a lot of great breweries, of course, one not so great distillery, and a lot of great places to eat. And it also is home to one of the greatest donut shops in the world. And I don't know why it's so good, but the old fashioned there that I had was probably the greatest donut I've had in my entire life. And I didn't get one for Paul because I got his text too late because he wanted one too. And I didn't know that. And I felt bad, but I was gone by the time he texted me. All right, Paul. So we're in Squamish, and it's time to kick off the proper adventure. So we've had 2 days of riding, one at Tiger and one at Galbraith. So I'm warmed up. The body's feeling loose, and it's time. Yeah, we will tell the distillery story for sure. It's time to get to Whistler, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time in my life, which is the Mecca, right? It is the place that every mountain biker, the bike park that every mountain biker has heard of and wants to go to. And bought 2 donuts for myself. Yes, I did, Paula. Look, I'm going to explain this as such that I ate. Look, I went to the donut shop. I'll admit to this. And I bought 2 donuts because I wanted to try. They had a maple one. I'm a big fan of maple donuts. And they had a maple walnut donut. And it looked just fantastic. And then I saw the little old fashioned down at the bottom. I said, look, I'm not going to eat all this anyways, but I want to try them because I'm here now. I might not see them again. And so like I was like, that old fashioned doesn't look special. There's nothing special about it. But then it was like the maple one. Oh, it was extravagant. So that was the highlight, right? And then there was the old fashioned down below. We're getting distracted, but the donuts are in shapes of circles, which is like wheels. So it's basically, this is pretty much bike related. So you guys can just take it easier in chat, all right? It's basically bike related. So I looked down at the old fashioned, nothing special to look at. But when they gave it to me, it was like this big, you know what I mean? And I was on board 100%. As soon as I dove into that thing, I was finishing it, and I was finishing both donuts with a latte to tie it in together. So I immediately followed it up with a massive hike to try to eliminate the massive amount of sugar I had just ingested. That donut shop was fantastic. Okay, but look. Whistler. Now, what I teased at the beginning of this live stream is, and we're gonna unveil some riding footage and stuff like that today too, because I think it may be a good opportunity to show it off a little bit and show that I'm not a complete idiot on the bike. I haven't shown a lot of riding footage lately, but I've got some, and I'm deciding whether or not to release a YouTube video of it or just show you guys some clips and talk about it behind the scenes and show you what was going on there and all that stuff. But Whistler, does it live up to the hype? Okay. Does it live up to the hype? Has anybody in chat been to Whistler, ridden Whistler? I know Paul has, of course. Paul basically knew every twist and turn on the trails by heart. He'd be like, I was like, oh, I rode this trail. He's like, oh, around that second turn and that first little rock roll. Did you see that one thing? I was like, Paul, I don't remember any of this. Like, he has the mind like a Swiss machinist. That's how sharp his mind is. So, does it live up to the hype? I will say, okay, unequivocally, yes and no. It's like a weird thing to say, but here's what I mean by that. I know, yeah, just write A-line the whole time, you'll be fine. Okay, so as the buildup for Whistler, which is like one of the greatest mountain bike parks in the world, when you get there, it's like, it feels like another bike park. And in fact, part of this is my problem because like I show up, it opens at 10, and whenever we go to North Star up here, the goal is to like get on the trail as fast as possible. Like you get ready, you get all your gear on, and you get in line, and you get your ass up the hill. So like right off the bat, like the first day, I didn't even really see Whistler itself, you know, like the village or anything like that. It was like I got up, I got in, and I just got up there as fast as I could. So anyway, I get all my gear together, I go get my pass, I go get in line, and to this point, it just feels like a normal bike park, right? You're just doing normal bike park stuff. So like the element of Whistler hasn't set in. You know when you go to Disneyland or something for the first time and you're like, wow, you see the castle or something for the first time. Right now it feels like a normal bike park. You know you're there at Whistler, but it's not like it's mind-blowing right out of the gate. And the first thing I do is I get up on the lift and I go into the gondola, which at this point I probably should have watched a video or two on Whistler. I know I've watched them in the past, but I'm not religious about this. I get in the gondola and I already get like it start off classic Colorado start to a trip, all right? The gondola is right there, and I get in. There's two lines, which I don't even notice because I'm screwing around on my phone, taking advantage of the Wi-Fi they have in the village. And there's two lines. One of the lines is for solo riders, and the other line's for like groups or whatever. I immediately go in the group line, don't I? Yeah, of course I do. And so like to get it, like I'm just standing there, and I've already heard people are looking at me like, what an idiot, you know? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't ride park very much. Anyways, so we have to get into this gondola, and the hard part with the gondola versus like the regular lift is that you've got to just get your bike up and roll it in there. And you've got to fit 3 people. So you've got to get one, and then it's like little Tetris pieces inside this tiny gondola with 29-inch wheels and massive handlebars and extremely large egos. And so they all have to fit into one gondola. And the first gondola I get into is, I don't know, I wish I had asked her name because she was a racer and she had raced in some of the EWS stuff and whatever else. And she was like, oh, I live here. And she's already like, look at this idiot. And then she goes, oh, I hope you guys don't mind. I gotta film something for my social media. I don't really like doing it, but I have to do it. I was like, do you know who you're talking to? Do you know who you're talking to? The guy across from her, sitting in between us, knew who I was. He didn't know who she was. All right. I was like, do you know who you're talking to? It's the Calirado Kid. All right. So I immediately get my phone out and I'm like, as soon as she's done with her story post, I'm going to post a story that's better than hers. And I didn't, but I thought about it really hard, really intently. So anyways, we ended up talking all the way up. She was super nice, and she started to help me understand the park a little bit more. But it was funny because she was like, oh, I got to do a story post. I'm sorry to inconvenience you guys. I'm like, oh, yeah? I already had like lights out, and like I had 3 lights set up in the gondola ready to film. I'm like, oh, okay, sorry. I'll tone it back a little bit. The life of an international superstar is sometimes pretty tricky, guys. Anyways, it was a mess, like getting on and off. And of course, here's the biggest downside with the Eagle stuff, the Eagle Access gear stuff. Anytime you even like breathe on it, it shifts. So it's like, imagine in a gondola where you're trying to get the whole bike out like backwards, and it's like, so when I get out, I'm like, I don't even know what gear I'm in. I can't even start nothing. It's just not a great start. So I climb up to the first trail of the day, which is going to be B-line. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, it's not A-line. I actually did want to go down B-line, something simple as a warm-up to get an understanding of the park. And immediately upon getting to B-line, I hear somebody behind me go, hey, is that Calirado? So of course, I'm not doing this to stroke my own ego here and tell you guys about that people recognize me. That's not what we're here for. What I am here for is because this was one of the greatest moments of the trip, because it turns out the guy behind me, his name was Eric. I had never met him before, but he knew who I was because there's another content creator by the name of Rich, aka Semi-Cindy, who's on the East Coast. And Eric runs a suspension shop in New York City called Gearworks. And so he came up when we started talking. He was like, dude, my buddy Rich, you're friends with my buddy Rich. I was like, what? Like, talk about small world, first run of the day, run into these guys. How fortunate is that? amazing people. Like Gearworks, Eric, the whole crew. I keep forgetting their name. There was a couple Johns. Anyways, we ended up running into them. And I was like, Dan, this is like my first run of the day. I don't even know what I'm getting into. And they're like, hey, we're going to run down Beeline. I was like, I'm going to run down Beeline. So we strap it on. I'm like, nothing's ready. My knee pads aren't on. I'm like, okay, let me get ready. Boom, 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 boom. And then we run down Beeline for the first time. And like, so it was very fortunate because we got to ride together the next couple of weeks. The next couple of days, we really just like rode a lot together. Like Eric, the crew, me, we were just going and adventuring in Whistler for the first time. And they were from New York and I was from California. So very conflicting views. But I liked Eric's story a lot because we got to talk on the lift quite a bit. And it's really fascinating to me. Some of the things, and again, like I always joke about the fact that I got into this for international superstardom. But really what it boils down to is like, the relationship building and meeting new people has always been the biggest advantage to this. Like Spokesman's in here, Charlie's in here, Brian's in here. These are all people that I probably wouldn't even have known had I not picked up this stupid mantle, or started making dumb videos for the internet. Anyways, meeting this guy was really interesting because, we got to talk. He's from opposing worlds on the East Coast, but it was really fascinating because we got to talk a lot about stuff. And one of the things I find interesting about this is that he's a younger guy. I think he was only like 32, but he had started the business a couple of years ago. So he had gone through school. He was kind of like not sure what he was going to do. And he liked rebuilding suspension. He liked rebuilding forks and all that stuff and whatever else. So he started making it a business. And that's what he did. He made his own business. And at the age of 32, he's his own boss. He's out here riding with a crew out in Whistler. And I love those stories where it starts so simple. Like I think Spoke X started very similar. They built wheels in their garage and they just liked building wheels. And again, don't quote me on this because I may be wrong, but I remember talking to, I think it was Javier from Spoke X, and they were like, yeah, we just kind of started building stuff in the garage. And then eventually as that expands and people want more product and you start realizing like you can make money at it. Man, it's so cool to meet people in the industry that their stories started so simply. Just so simply. It's like, hey, people like to want, and they wanted to give us money to do stuff for them. So we realized we could do it. And so it's really cool. Anyways, got to hang with Eric. Great story, really interesting. Young guy who's got his own business, and they were shredders. We had a blast. We were riding all the similar stuff. And so we headed down Beeline for the first time. And that was my first trail at Whistler. So when I say that is Whistler worth it? Okay. When I say yes and no, this is the no part. Okay. So the first trail you go down is Beeline. Now at this point, EWS and all that other stuff had just taken place. There was massive crowds the weekends before, I'm sure. And so we went down Beeline, which the best way I would describe that trail is probably the most washed out trail I've ever ridden. I've never had so many braking bumps in a trail in my life. So like immediately, like the get-go, you're like, oh, this is great. But it's like through every berm and through the next berm. And it was just like, oh, no, it's just a bike park. It's, oh, no. So it's like, it was fun. It was still really cool. But it was like right off the bat, there wasn't anything like super, super like gnarly and impressive. So I was like, okay, this is a warm-up lap. We're just getting started. And that's the extent of like, right? Like, cause man, it was some of the trails were brutalized and then there were the gems that weren't. And that's what we're going to get to very, very soon. So before we get into all the trails, I wrote a ton of trails out there, but I want to show you guys some of the stuff. Like, so it turns out that I am still a master at my craft when it comes to mounting cameras and getting the perfect angle. And so I've discovered that, and it was very obvious from the get-go that this whole trip was just going to go great because I hadn't recorded GoPro footage in a long time, and I was like, this is going to be. I mean, right when I looked at the footage, I was like, boom, we nailed it right out of the gate. Like that's what a true professional does. So I'm going to show you one of these clips right here, and we're going to get a little live stream inception for a second while I switch over the screen here. But you're going to see like right out of the gate, just absolutely nailed the very essence of Whistler, okay, with this camera angle. And this is the true professionalism of the Calirado Kid right here. Okay, so we're going to drop this down. We're going to jump over here, and we're going to go right into here. Look at this angle. Absolutely perfect. Look at this. Just majestic. God. So like of course, like a true professional would go and go look at the footage and make sure that everything was doing just fine. That's not what I do, ladies and gentlemen. That's not what I did. So I've got a bunch of footage that looks like this, where you're kind of getting a great shot. If you look closely, you can see some of the foliage there. If you look like right around, yeah, look at this. Perfect. Amazing. Look at the shadows. Just just look at the bike. Really, like this is, if Brian was still in here, this is the advertisement for Trail 1 right here, is it not? I mean, Trail 1 handlebars. That's his commercial. He doesn't even need to do anything else. This is it. You don't need to see anything. So right out of the gate, we're not looking good, ladies and gentlemen. We're not looking great at all. All right. So, anyways, that was the start of the Whistler trip. Yeah. So immediately it's just like looking down at the trail. So eventually I spent some time tweaking the camera. Now, long term, I discovered the problem was just with the old stunt man and all that stuff, because I was still doing the chest mount. So I've got the little red bolt that holds in there. I think it just doesn't get quite tight enough. It's not a Loctite solve, because like it's just not getting tight enough. And then the camera kind of mounts upside down, so it kind of slowly was working its way down. I think that's what that's exactly what happened here. And so like the first basically couple trails that I rode out in Whistler look like that. So there's going to be no understanding and experience for you guys, but just want to start you off strong here when we're looking at riding footage for Whistler. Now, the next clip, and I've got to look because I got to forget which I had queued up here. Okay, so here we go. Now, the next clip that I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to take a drink of water. Stand by. Hold on. Okay, I know. So the next clip I'm going to show you guys, look, this was basically the moment you realize that the Calirado Kid is basically a professional mountain bike rider. And that's the best way I could describe this footage. If you look at what happens here, you're going to see probably one of the most sophisticated tricks ever to be seen on a bike. And I'm gonna break it down for you to help you guys understand what's happening here. Okay, so all right, here we go. Whistler, this is still day one, okay, but I'm gonna show you right out of the gate how I'm coming in with complete fire on the trails. Okay, so here we go. We're going to a little ride inception here again. We're gonna drop this out, and here we go. This is all right. Let me paint this. Hold on. Stop it. All right, let me paint the scene. Look, ladies and gentlemen, let me paint the scene right here. All right, you can see right now. This is Crank It Up out in Whistler. These little do you consider these wall rides? These are really fun. Paul described this trail as designed in such a way that it makes you think you know how to jump. And it's very true. Every single one of the jumps was laid out in such a way that you could just coast right over them and just like blast through them. And it made you feel capable as a rider. But this is a trail called Crank It Up. Right there out at Whistler. Okay, this is still day one. Okay, these are all warm-up laps, ladies and gentlemen, but I want to show you how I just came to dominate. All right, I just came out and it's very obvious, and I'm going to show you the point you know it. Okay, the exact moment. But first, here it is. So we're looking at Crank It Up right here. Wall rides, easy. Look at this, having fun, incredible, no problem. I basically went all the way up the thing. This is a step up, right? Boom, easy. Now here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is. Watch this moment, and I'm going to tell you. Okay, you guys might not have noticed it right there. Okay, but I'm gonna back it up. I'm gonna make sure you guys know what just happened on this riding footage right here and why it's so incredible. If you look at the takeoff from this jump, you see the flags. Okay, so already out of the corner of my eye, using depth perception and peripheral vision and all that stuff, I basically already plotted the perfect course over this little jump right here. Just perfectly lined. Everything's clicking. Everything's dialed in. You guys can tell right off the bat that this is going to be a magical moment. But what you probably didn't notice is and I can't do the slow-mo, but I can drag us through. We're going to look at it again, see if you guys see it. All right, you see you guys? Okay, here we go. Boom. Did you see it? Did you see the moment you realize that the Calirado Kid is probably the most dominant shredder at Whistler? We're going to back it up again. Here goes. Look, ladies and gentlemen, look at this moment right here as we come over the lip like this. Look at the handlebars. Watch the wheel. Watch the positioning. What is that? Oh, baby. That's incredible. Look at this. Look at the positioning on the wheel right here. I mean, this is basically like, there's no reason I shouldn't have been in Crankworks. Look at that right there. Whoop. Reposition the wheel, make the landing, boom. If that's not like what a professional rider does, I don't know what is. I mean, are you kidding me? Incredible. Came to Whistler to dominate right out of the gate, and that's exactly what's happening. Day one, we're just getting warmed up, aren't we? We're just getting warmed up. Total domination. Did you see it? You guys saw it, right? Yeah, 100% you did. I know you did. And I don't want to make anybody in chat jealous. That's why I saved it for an hour in, but I wanted to make sure the true believers were in here to see what the real, what it really was. Immediately when I saw that clip, because, it's like, here's the best part. Here's the best part about this whole process, right? Anytime that you get this riding footage, and unless you're like a really good jumper, when you go look at the footage and you're massively high in the air, like somebody like Christian Pepper who's just absolutely dominating jumps. You know what I mean? When you think you're making a sick jump and you go look at the footage, you're like, oh my God, I can't show this to anybody. That's not what I do. I show it to everybody. That's what we've done here tonight. So you guys saw that pretty sick stunt. I just want to go on record as saying the contracts are rolling in from all the companies. They're basically just like they want me as a pro rider. I said, look, that's not what I do. I'm a content creator. I'm going to charge you double. You know what I mean? The phone's still not ringing. It's still not ringing. I should have taken the deal. All right, so here it is. Now we're going to get into some of the. Now, when I say that Whistler was worth it, yes and no. Some of the no's were involved with the initial day, just getting into some of the basic trails and realizing, it's very similar to a bike park. You're waiting in lines, you're doing all this stuff. So it's a bike park. But then the yeses started coming in pretty fast. And of course, very, very soon, they start dominating the scene. Now you're talking about a park that is very unique. And it wasn't until I started getting into the chunk and some of the stuff that I really like and really get challenged with that it started coming to life for me, okay? It started coming to life for me. So let me show you guys a clip. Okay, we're going to dive right in. I think this is Original Sin. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go a little Inception again. And here we go. So we're going to jump into Original Sin. You guys can see right on the screen. I think you guys can see my mouse. That Original Sin is a black diamond trail. So not double black, but a black diamond trail. And it wasn't until I rode this trail that things started to come to life for me out at Whistler, because this one has got multiple segments to it, but this is like a lot of challenging stuff. Now, this footage I think is actually from day 3. We rode it this is boy, I should have lined this up a little better. Wait a minute. I might be wrong. Anyways, this is Original Sin. And this is the day 3, but we rode this day 1. And when this started coming together, I really liked it. So notice when we're slamming through some of the chunk here, I really like the features of this trail, the roots, and this is the stuff I kind of expected when it came to Whistler riding. The roots coming out at you, and this is in the dry, right? If you're riding this in the wet, it'd be even spicier. But just a beautiful balance of chunk and flow and all that stuff. And these are kind of my favorite styles of trails. So we started to get into it. And this is another entrance into Original Sin right here. And you're going to notice again, you're going to see a lot of rocks. You're going to see a lot of roots. And this is just a black diamond. So this is not nearly some of the most challenging stuff we rode. But as this stuff started to show its head a little bit more out at Whistler, I found that this stuff really started to wake me up on these trails. And it was really cool. Now, there's a couple sections that really woke me up. Now, as we don't have to watch this whole thing, but you guys can see coming through here, there's, decent amount of stuff, decent amount of speed. Not too bad, right? Not too bad. All right, so then as we get through here, this was one of my funner sections. So as you bleed into Original Sin, you have to cross a road to get over to it, right? Like this. And if you guys watch my Instagram, there's actually a picture that I took right here on the first day, and the mountains are in the background. And we could talk about that later too. But you work your way up across, and this is the segment we didn't find, I think, till the second day. And anyways, so then you start coming across, and you do some more, basic rock stuff. This is nothing amazing because you go into this shaly stuff. But then again, you come across, and this is another highlight of this trail right here, Original Sin, jumping back in across Road Gap. Now, as you come into this section right here, you get some more chunk. And I like that. Again, boom, boom. And this was a fun segment, okay, right here. Okay? Coming across a bridge. This is where the park starts to come to life, right? This is the stuff that I'm here for. Rolling through rocks, just diving head first, hopefully not over the bars. All this stuff starts to get really fun to me. And this is where Whistler started to come to life when I rode Original Sin. I ended up riding this trail more than anything, but there we go. Little steep, little rock roll section coming through and all the way out. So this stuff was it. As I said, when we first started the trip, when we rode Beeline, it was just washed out and kind of sloppy, and this was not at all. And of course, because it's designed to have that chunk in it and all that stuff, so it's really it really was fun. And it wasn't until those trails started coming to my life out there that it started to get really fun. Now, there was a trail called In Deep that I ended up going into on the third day. And the third day at Whistler was really devoted towards riding the double black diamond stuff, which was pretty gnarly compared to anything we've seen where we're at. Like, it's hard to say there's a comparable location, but really talking about like, and Paul would know the name of this trail, but so In Deep goes around. If you guys ever look at a map of Whistler, there's a trail called In Deep. It's the double black. There's another one called, I think, Captain Safety. And what it is a pretty steep rock roll then you come back out, and then there's another like massively long, steep rock roll. And that's where I kind of went over the bars. I took a crash on that one because I took a bad line. And that's kind of the downside of riding things blind. So a lot of that was like kind of scoping out some features and realizing they were okay to ride. But it was really fun. Really fun. So that's where like the park started to come to life for me, is when I started getting into the chunk. And the more you started to find those like really techie, chunky trails, like that was when I was having a ton of fun. And so like, yeah, Captain Safety. And so there was like Beeline was completely blown out. And really parts of the other jump line Crank It Up were pretty blown out. But stuff like this is like, it's hard to blow it out because it's already just nasty. You know what I mean? And so like, yeah, it was, and especially when they're rock rolls and technical stuff like that, it is really cool. I don't know how much riding footage I pulled, but I'm gonna show you guys another one, which was No Duff. That was pretty fun. And this had some fun features on it too. Somewhere there's a video of a pro rider jumping halfway down it from the top in a monsoon level of rain. Holy crap. Yeah. Captain Safety is wild. Paul just gave me so many good recommendations, and the second day was pure death and destruction. Now, I had meant to get some incredible footage of In Deep, because that trail to me was one of the funnest ones as well. Just pure double black tech. And if you guys remember, there was a picture, and I could probably show you guys here. I don't have it queued up on my computer, but I showed a picture online on the old Instagram. I'm sure most of you guys follow me on Instagram as well. But when you start to see some of these features, and they all kind of like, they stand out as just being properly chunky. Let me see if I can find, yeah. So this is like, if we can see here, that is like part of In Deep. And so when you start to say like, just like getting in through it was so good. It was pure challenge. And there was a lot of stuff that I didn't have to walk it, but I had to stop, look at it, back up, try to get back on, and do all that stuff, because like not knowing the features, sometimes you're not quite sure of the lines. There's situations where I was kind of getting myself in trouble. And this next video right here is a prime example of that. All right. So I started going too fast, and there's little drops and rock rolls that I just wasn't quite prepared for. And so, you know, I even say it in the video here, you're going to hear it. I'm like, I need to slow down, because like I was having so much fun, but all it takes is that moment. And it actually happens in a couple occasions. And I feel like I didn't export a video that I wanted to export, because there was one piece of footage that I really wanted to show you guys, and apparently I didn't bring it over like a dummy. There was a good little crash in there that I wanted to show you guys. Damn it. All right, well, I'll post it somewhere else. I'll post it on the old IG, so you guys will appreciate it. As a side note, this is the scenery. This is the scenery out there at the top. Okay, right here, if you guys see what I'm looking at here. This is the scenery at the top of Original Sin. So right before you drop into Original Sin, this is basically what you're looking at. And there, if you look up top, is top, like the start of top, there's that bridge near Top of the World right here, all up at the top here. And unfortunately, Top of the World was closed all the days that I wanted to ride it when we were out in Whistler, which is part of the reason I put it in the video, because I was pretty disappointed. But, you know, it is what it is. Nothing you can do about it. So this is the view at the top of Original Sin right here. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. Now, this one was called No Duff. This was pretty interesting. Now we're diving into double black, right? And some of the stuff you're going to see is this one's not nearly as treacherous as In Deep and some of the other stuff. But then this is the stuff that I started really having a blast on. Now, for context, in this video, there was a couple guys that I was riding with, Eric from Gearworks, and they went off to a separate trail that I didn't know where they went. So I kind of went the wrong way, but they all kind of run parallel. So, you know, you can see Freight Train over here, No Duff, all this stuff. Anyway, so I dive into No Duff. This is the first time running on this trail. And the first thing I stop on one of these features, I'm like, no. Like, it's just like weird. But the rest of it, I think I ride most of it. But now you're starting to get into some like good little action here. Like, what are we getting into? Okay.
I'm on No Duff.
I'm yelling at them. Hey guys, I'm over here. So we start driving in here. Yep. And it just immediately puts you into the trees. But you never know when it's going to throw something spicy at you, especially if you've never ridden the features before. But look at the foliage, just green everywhere. Beautiful stuff.
Yoo-hoo!
just having, again, this is where this whole park really came to life when I started riding all these technical trails that were a little bit quieter. There wasn't many people on them, like Beeline and stuff, very populated with people. You can see me trying to figure out the lines. Again, without a guide, I don't know quite what I'm getting into. This one right here, I just wasn't feeling it. I was riding solo at this point. I'm like, I don't want to die. But then I'm like, all right, let's keep rolling on this trail. And this is another spot where I think I stop on the trail to get eyes on it. Right? So I'm like, wait, what is this? And I get back up. I'm like, okay, I look at it. I'm like, oh, that's no big deal. All right, we're fine. So super cool. You know, bleeding into some more chunk. Yep. But you know, the trails can't get blown out when it's just rock, right? Like, so that's pretty cool. And then you look at all the roots just strewn about. Oh, coming in through the trees. How beautiful is this place? I missed that. On the right, you guys noticed that? Oh, I wish I would have known about that ahead of time. Look at that. Could have sent it right off that rock right there, but I didn't even notice it. I was just looking forward.
Missed it.
And just moving our way through the chunk. Just really cool. Really interesting stuff at Whistler. And like I said, the more that I spent time riding this stuff, like the more this park came to life for me. So the question of the day has been, does Whistler live up to the hype? I can say unequivocally, absolutely. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Like, oh, bam, sassy molassy. After 3 days, my body was completely beat up. But riding stuff like that was really fun. Couple small crashes, nothing major, thankfully, but wearing the full face, wearing the knee pads as much as I could. But Whistler, like, what to me, and again, like, there's no knock on anybody's riding style when they go to a bike park. Like, the jump lines are cool. We did go down A line. Believe it or not, I didn't go down A line nearly a lot. I think I don't even know if I started it from the top. It's like we jumped into it, but I was pretty gassed by the time I finally got onto A line. Because for me, and my style of riding, I really do like the chunk, the kind of like the technical trails more than anything. And I really found that as I dived more into those, it just kept rewarding me on and on and on. Now, we could talk about a couple gems when it comes to trail systems at Whistler, but, you know, there's a lot more stories to tell, isn't there? Like how many bears there are there. Have you guys seen all the footage? There's an insane amount of bears out there. Insane. They're everywhere. Uh-oh, I'm catching up with chat. Hold on, stand by. What did Paul say? Everyone, he remembered none of my advice. He couldn't remember any of the trails he rode. I had to interrogate him on waterboarding. Yay! It is 100% true. But here's what Paul basically did to me. Exactly what that joke reel was that I made was like somebody at a trail system like telling you 18,000 trails and where to ride and how to ride them in what order. Once I got up the top of the lift, I was like, that trail looks fun. You know, like that's I get distracted very easily, ladies and gentlemen. Very easily. Yeah. It's so good. Yeah, proper root gardens. I didn't pay attention to anything he said. Yeah. Also, road. It's road, not road. Cringe. You rode your road, Paul. You rode it twice, and then you rode it again. You know what I mean? Exactly. Can't find the video footage, but lots of pose shots. Yeah, exactly. Jealous, Joe. Yeah, you got to go up there, Brian. It really is fun, and very treacherous. If you're not going with people, just be careful because. Yeah, I rode with Eric and the crew 2 days out there, which was a blast. And then the third day, they went and rode Blackcomb. So they climbed up and rode the Blackcomb side. And I was like, well, I got a day still going on at the Whistler Park, so I'm gonna take advantage of it, even though Top of the World was closed. And so that's when I started running all the double black stuff that Paul recommended. And Detroit Rock City and things like that. Oh man, there was some properly sketchy stuff, like steep, rocky, high consequence. And that's the stuff I realized as a side note that maybe having flat pedals would be a little bit more advantageous because riding clips and clipless is sometimes difficult because like when you have to stop and it's a sharp turn or something, you have to restart onto a technical trail. You have to get clipped in. It's like, oh man, there was some sketchy features that I was riding like with 1 foot in the pedal basically because I didn't have time. I couldn't like get even one rotation in before there was a massive drop or something. So I didn't have a chance to get both in real fast. And maybe it's because I'm not good at getting clipped in or whatever the case is, but I did discover that. Now, I also learned that lesson in the North Shore after the old Whistler trip. And we'll get to that a little bit later when Van Can and Dangerous Dave showed me around. Incredible riding out there, just a whole nother level. But, you know, the Whistler trip was really cool. So I was able to get around so some days I would stay a little bit later and that's when I would film the reels. So I would try to ride like all day. So it'd be like basically from 10 to 6 or something. Riding up and down and getting as much riding as I could. And if you saw the footage from like one of my videos, the hands were just like red spots everywhere, just destroyed. But But it was a massively entertaining time riding, and I would spend some time in the, and I finally got a day to walk around the village and all that other stuff, and it was really cool. Spotted a few bears, spotted a bear in the parking lot, and then I spotted a bear off the chairlift, which I was really hoping I would see. I really like that idea of like being on the chairlift and then the bears just foraging for berries down below. Incredible, really cool experience. The park is something else. There's so much to see, and my bike is completely destroyed. I will say, like, so my bike now, and after the North Shore, I'll tell you all about like what's the things that I think are wrong with it. But it definitely got some wear and tear over those couple days. And I'm a little bummed that I didn't get some footage of some of the more gnarly double black trails. The reason why I didn't is because, so on the final day, I was running hard, man. I was trying to get as much riding as I could. And you know, sometimes when you do that, it's detrimental because I had some really good runs and I started feeling great. So I was like, you know what, let me go get the camera now because I feel like I'm running pretty good. And what happened is I went down to the bottom of the hill, went in, got my GoPro out of the truck, brought it, strapped it up, got it, went back to the lift, watered up, all that stuff. Got up to the top of the hill and realized I had forgotten to eat anything. And so at this point, it's like 3 o'clock, maybe 3:30 after hitting it hard all day long. And I was like, oh, crap. Like, I knew that it was like I made a horrible mistake because the plan was to go ride like Original Sin or something and then bleed it into In Deep and start doing those double blacks and getting those all on camera because like I thought that would be fantastic footage because I was really feeling it. I felt great. My confidence was good. The bike riding was feeling good. So I'm like, this is the perfect time to go get some footage. Well, what happens is, again, I get to the top of the hill and as I like take 2 chairlifts up, I'm already starting to feel like my stomach grumble. And I'm like, oh no. So I was like, I blew it. I'd already run out of snacks and like I meant to grab something out of the truck and I just forgot. I forgot. So I got to the top of the hill. And I think that Original Sin run you saw right there was like, I was off the chairlift, ran Original Sin. At that point, I was like starting to get like a little shaky because my energy was just gone. I just lost track of time. And so I was like, let me just get down to the bottom of the hill as easy as possible. And so I ended up riding probably the worst trail in Whistler, which was like, I forget the name of it. I think it was called, God, Paul would know. He knows everything. It was like, it was a Spanish name. Anyways, I rode this thing. It was basically like a connector trail, but they called it like a blue. And I was like, it was the worst. It was the worst trail in Whistler by far. Not even a question. Uno Mas. It was Uno Mas. There was a trail called Uno Mas there. Don't ever ride that trail. Like it was just the most boring experience I'd ever had in my life. Now, that being said, it bled into a trail that kicks out to the road and then gets you into a trail, which was the hidden gem of Whistler for me. The hidden gem of Whistler, which was a trail called Blueberry Bathtub. And this was a blue flow trail, okay? A blue flow trail that you wouldn't expect, but it was called Blueberry Bathtub. This thing was like Beeline, but 10 times better, not blown out, and it was like a lot narrower and smaller. It's like Beeline's like massive, you know, like a lot wider, bigger berms and things like that. Blueberry Bathtub was like smaller and more tight turns, you know, pump track stuff, like little jumps. It was just nonstop entertainment. To me, it was like the fun roller coaster ride I was looking for a flow trail that I hadn't really experienced yet. And finally, I got on that trail. I was like, wow, this was fun. Like Beeline, maybe on a prime day, would be money. But like when it was all blown out like that, it was just like, right? The old breaking bumps through the berms. Can you say that 10 times fast, by the way? Breaking bumps through the berms, breaking bumps through the berm. I can't do it. Can you guys do it? Say it out loud. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's the hidden gem that Paul told about. Shut up, Paul. You didn't tell me about that. Okay, you probably did. Wow. By the way, Joe, the good Joe here, Trail Features, $5 donation, says, my toxic trait is thinking I can ride a North Shore trail after watching Van Can ride it in a video. This is a truer statement has never been said. Anybody in chat, have you ridden the North Shore? Raise of hands or just a comment down below would also work just fine. Look, yeah, the North Shore stuff is a whole nother level of riding, and I found that out the hard way, didn't I? Thanks for jumping in, guys. Let's catch up on chat real quick because Paul's just beating me up pretty good here. No Firm Brakes is in here. Good to see you, brother. Yes. He's good looking. He's got a new thing he's working on to clip into the bike, too. That was super rad. All right, here we go. We're scrolling down. Paul's just dominating in here. He says, the hidden gem, the ball told me about. Highly recommend. What the fuck? BB. Yeah, I know. And he totally forgot and pretended he found it by himself. I did find it because I forgot that you told me about it by then. So I kind of inadvertently found the trail by myself, which was really fun. Did you do a flip on Dirt Merchant? If not, you suck. All YouTube mountain bikers suck. Look, Josh, now that look, ladies and gentlemen, I got something to prove. Okay, Josh, now that you're in here, okay, I need you to see something that is unequivocal proof that I'm probably one of the greatest mountain bike riders in history, and I just want to make it clear. And everybody that's been in chat for a little bit has seen this, but I want you. Look, Josh is in here. I want to impress him. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Look, Josh, this is a line down, crank it up, and this is probably the most impressive thing you'll see all day. Okay, let me get Inception us real quick again. All right, we're jumping right in. You guys are going to see this. Look at this. All right, so first of all, Josh, I'm laying the ground rules right here. Look at this line up the wall ride. I basically touched the tip of it. That's how high I go up this wall ride. Look at this. I mean, like, see, basically the top. That's basically the top. And then, like, same thing here. I'm basically like, I might as well just be at the very top of the SRAM. Like, oh, let's not pause it there. All right. Then we do this thing. Easy. No problem. Okay. This is the moment of joy, Josh, right here. The moment that we've all been waiting for. Look, you might not have seen it. Josh, you might not have seen it, but anybody in chat's going to tell you right now that it's probably the greatest thing you're going to see all day. Look at this right here as we reel this footage back. Okay, again, laser focus. All right, I see these flags, and I know that I got to drop right over here. You know what I mean? I know that, like, immediately there could be a rattlesnake on the other side. Doesn't matter. I'm going to smash that thing to pieces. Look, here we go. We're jumping right in. Josh, do you see this move right here? You're going to be impressed. I know you are. Look at this. Watch this wheel. Boom, boom, boom. That's 3 frames worth of wheel turning, Josh. 3 frames. 1, 2, 3. Back online. Stick the landing. I'm off to the races. Look, that's basically like, that's pro level stuff. And I don't want to argue about nothing. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. It doesn't even come close. As far as I know, it doesn't even get close. So look, Josh, this is what you missed out on going on vacation instead of riding with me. This is exactly what you missed out on. You could have been taking lessons from the Calirado Kid, but instead, here you are, just sitting in chat on a Saturday night like a loser. Oh, I love it. I love that you guys are jumping in here. Yes. I taught Dustin Klein how to mountain bike. Yeah, that video was really fun. We can get to that as well because that was in Portland on the way down the trip. But should we talk about the North Shore? Would you guys like to hear about the North Shore? I can also tell you guys about a distillery experience that we had. All right, this is a multiple choice right now in chat. Do you guys want to hear about our Paul and I's great distillery experience, or do you want to hear about the North Shore? And we can do both. It's fine, but maybe because it happened in order, so maybe we do the distillery. Speaking of distilleries, I'm gonna grab a glass of tin cup real quick. Hold on, stand by. You guys don't talk amongst yourselves. Stand by. All right, look. Here we go. All right, here we go. We got one of these. All right, cool. Here we go. Now, oh my god, a little bit parched. Look, tin cup was pretty rad. They sent this to me, and so I'm stoked to get on board with it. It's good stuff. It is good stuff. Yeah, I know Paul wants the distillery. Paul's gonna win because he's gonna comment like 80,000 times, and you guys are gonna only comment once. There we go. Colorado whiskey for the Calirado Kid. Colorado whiskey for the Calirado Kid. Yeah, this is good. All right, all right. I know North Shore for sure. I know you guys only. All right, let's do distillery. All right, here we go. So this is gonna be a short one because Paul and I we're basically like adventuring bros at this point now. Up until the Whistler, the 3 days of Whistler, like the first night, Paul and I were able to get together for dinner afterwards because I kind of called it early. But the next couple nights, I stayed up in Whistler to do some filming and grab a beer and eat some food. And by that time, I'd get back to Squamish at like 8 or 9 o'clock. So those were longer days, and it worked out well because those reels all did really well, and it was fun. So, anyways, the next day after Whistler, Paul and I got a chance to hang out a bit and adventure a little bit, and we ended up doing a really nice brunch or whatever you call it at this place. And then we went up to this remote lake that it was one of the goals of mine on this trip because I strapped the kayak and destroyed my gas mileage the whole trip just in the hopes that I would ride the kayak a few times. And I did. In Galbraith, I did. After the ride, I found a small lake out there and jumped out on the water. I sent a few racy pictures to Josh. I was out on the lake somewhere near him, I'm sure, because he's in that town. But good tasting notes. Smelling notes. What do you call it? That's all right. Fair enough. Anyway, so we got on this remote lake, and you guys saw some of the pictures of that. You guys had to have, right? Raise your hand in chat if you guys haven't seen those pictures, because I'll show you real quick. Hold on. And I'm not going to disclose the name of the lake. I'm not going to say where it is. All I'm going to say is we had some epic scenery up on this very, very remote lake in Canada, in British Columbia. Just absolutely gorgeous. And what you guys didn't see, and we're talking about behind the scenes footage, we discovered that my kayak can in fact fit 2 people. However, grown adults, it's kind of tricky. And we have to sit in the storage compartment essentially in the back. and we were just bleeding water in like crazy. Like we were, if you look at, I'm not going to show you the whole video here, but if you look at this video, like we're basically, look at this, just the water just coming in the back of this thing. We were gonna sink for sure, but we were able to take this thing adventuring around this little lake, which led to some fine little fun moments. And one of them, and I'm gonna cue this up for you guys again. Sorry I didn't get this dialed in ahead of time. I was gonna bring some of this stuff onto the computer, but I'm gonna show you real quick. Since we're here, we're talking about the trip. We're talking about the funny things that happened. This is one of them. Paul convinced me to get onto his really big stick. Okay. Wait a minute. That didn't sound right. Let me just rephrase. We were at the lake and there was a giant log and sticking out, and I got to jump on it. Okay, but that also doesn't sound really correct. Okay, anyways, like here it is. So look at, by the way, as a side note, when we talk about how good my riding ability is and the sick tricks that I'm pulling off on all these trails, look at how sick and how composed I am when it comes to jumping off of things. All right, like it's basically next level. I might as well just be a worldwide international athlete. Look at this thing. Okay, can you see me right there? Watch this jump. So graceful. Did you see the flapping of the arms? It was not until Paul filmed me jumping off of dangerous situations that I realized I tend to flap my arms when I fly through the air. I don't know what I expect to happen, but it is something that happens. And so like this also becomes quite evident on the rope swing of doom that we discovered. And we found this rope swing. Okay, don't worry, we're getting to the distillery. You take it easy, all right? We found this rope swing, and Paul, we're just kayaking around this lake, basically hemorrhaging water. At this point, we could just sink at any moment, but it was worth it because what we discovered was one of the finest rope swings in the world, ladies and gentlemen. And in the background, you won't be able to see it. There's just the most scenic mountains you'll ever see. And here comes the Calirado Kid performing stunts of adventure, stunts of excellence. I mean, you might as well just treat this as like this should be an X Games sport. Do they still do the X Games? Look at this. Watch oh God, just fall into my doom. Just like, in no way did I fall cool in any of these situations. Not at all. But like, again, I got a shot. Do I have like a really good video that I could show you of the lake? No, I don't. Just poor planning all around. But anyways, we were up at that remote lake, and there's the view. Just glaciers in the background. I'm going to describe them as glaciers. What a wonderful day. I will say, like, after 3 days of just getting absolutely destroyed, my body feeling beat up after Whistler, having a day like that was nice as a recovery. I'm just going to say it right out there. It felt great. The water was perfect. It felt good. I refreshed. I felt a lot better. So then we said one of the other days we're like, we're gonna go because he knows I tend to indulge in fine whiskeys and things like that. Paul's like, there's a distillery in town. I was like, you don't say. Wait, I was like, distillery, you say? Wait, you can't really get the true effect unless you do one of these. You know what I mean? Yeah, you Google remote lake and it didn't come up. I'm never disclosing the location. There was a local that was like, oh, the Instagrammers are ruining the lake for us, so I don't want to screw it up for everybody. It'll be on me. Paul knows it. It'll be on me. So anyway, so we're like, let's go to this distillery before we go grab food because we're getting hungry, but let's just go grab a quick drink. Let's go check it out. We get to this distillery. Paul could probably tell you the name of this place. I don't even care about bad-mouthing them at all. We're definitely not their clientele because we got there and it's just this very elaborate menu of drinks that like you just don't really know. Like, you know, it's going to be artsy, which is good, but like you're not quite sure what to expect from flavor profiles and stuff. You could tell there's like a true artisan making these crafted cocktails. But you also like none of the distilled spirits they're making are old or like nothing like what I would like. So the gins are like infused gins and some of the other stuff. So it's not like I like a good whiskey. I like a good bourbon. I like a good rye and stuff like that. And I'm okay with vodka and some of the other stuff, especially if it's a younger distillery. You got to deal with it. But anyways, so we get the menu. Like it takes 20 minutes for the guy to come over and give us a menu. At this point, we're like, okay, there's like there's like a group in there and that's it. A group and us. And it's like the very small place. What took 20 minutes? So they bring us the menu and it's just this long list of drinks that you can't even like almost like pronounce. And like, you don't know half the ingredients in the drinks. You're like, oh my God, I don't know what we're getting here. And so like at this point, you're just doing one of these. I'll take that one. I'll take that one. And what I want is I wanted to get a drink that was made from one of their distilled spirits. That's the whole point of going to a distillery or a brewery, right? You don't go to a brewery and order a Bud Light. You go to a brewery and you order what they make at the brewery, right? Same thing with the distillery. That's what you want. And some of their cocktails didn't have what they made. I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. Anyway, so we're sitting there. And, finally comes up to says hi, and there was no one else there. Yeah, there was one group like over to our right, but it was like nothing. It was empty. And we're like, well, it took 20 minutes. Then they finally come up, and Paul's like, finally decided on a cocktail. All right. And he goes, Paul goes, I'll take this one. And the guy goes, well, can I tell you a bit about that cocktail? And like, whenever somebody says that, that's going to be a bad sign. So like he describes this cocktail in great detail over the course of 2 minutes. And at which point at the end of it, he goes, and it's finished with almost like a little, are you familiar with this liqueur? It's a bit like fennel-y and all that stuff. And Paul's like, oh, fennel. No, I don't want fennel, And then like right out the bait, like, oh, we could have said that. You could have led with that because 80% of people hate fennel and black licorice and stuff, right? 80% of people. If you're in chat and you like black licorice, let me know. I, for example, do like it. I don't mind it, but Paul does not. And 80% of other people do not. My wife doesn't like it either, So then it's like, you just wasted 35 minutes. And so I was like, hey, just want something kind of like delicious and fruity, like just something simple and fun. Like, cool. He's like, oh, okay, I can make something. All right, cool. Yeah, I get mine. Another like 15 minutes goes by. We've been at this distillery for 45 minutes and we finally got one drink. This is unheard of. Ladies and gentlemen, look, what is your job? All right, let me think about it for a second. What is your job in real life? Okay, now imagine if you were to do that job very poorly. All right, would you be there very long? No. So we waited for almost an hour to like get one drink. And then by the time the drinks come, I'm like a guy in the desert. I'm basically crawling through Phoenix. My mountain bike broke, my mountain e-bike, my e-mountain bike broke down. And I have to walk and crawl through. And I'm just scrounging like this. I'm grabbing rats, ripping the heads off, soaking the blood out just to get liquid, right, at this point. And then this guy like brings the drinks and they look refreshing as hell. They're like that big and they look refreshing as hell. And so we're sitting there and Paul's like, wait a minute. I was like, what, Paul? He's like, I've got the perfect framing for a shot right now. I was like, Paul, I need to drink this drink. I'm going to die. I'm probably going to die. And he's like, no, this is perfect. This is perfect. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is the story behind this photo right here. If you saw that photo on Instagram, you now know the story of this right here. It is, he did not get the perfect framing, according to him, because I was like, I can't, Paul. I got a drink. I need a drink. So like at that point, I'm just like, man, this is amazing. Okay, let's go. Let's get the hell out of here. Like, it's just like, oh my God. And this time we were going to go have a light dinner. Now we're starving. We're like, we need to go eat as much as possible. It's like, oh my God, just steamrolled. We still had a great night. I'm just going to say it out there. But like the bottom line is like, what kind of experience was that? Oh my God, it was just brutal. It was brutal. So there was our distillery experience. I can't remember the name of the distillery. Paul might have put it in there. Yeah, but anise or like that black licorice, 80% of people hate that flavor. I don't mind it. Like, there's that one liquor, absinthe, right? Where you drip it over a, what do you call it? A unicorn, like that. No, it's like a sugar cube. And you drip over that and it drips into the water and all that. Anise, God, I just got all sidetracked, didn't I? Look, then we're going to the North Shore. Then we got to the North Shore. Okay, so it was after that. I finally packed up 50 minutes for one drink. I know, it was insane. Insane. All right, so then we got to the North Shore, and Paul lined this up because he had reached out to Nick, a.k.a. Van Can. He's like, hey, can you show Joe around to North Shore? At this point, like, I'm pretty beat up. Like, those 3 days. Oh, and before I did that, by the way, I did a quick little lap around Squamish. I didn't write anything like super amazing. I just kind of almost treated it as a recovery day. And I couldn't realize why I was sweating so much on these rides. Like, I was just drenched in sweat. And like here, that doesn't happen. It was like these climbs were really well structured. The trail systems were great. The way they built the climbing trails was excellent. And I was just like drenched. I couldn't stop the deluge from coming out of my body. And so I talked to Paul later. He's like, oh yeah, it's the humidity out here. I was like, it's not something that I noticed because I've been to Florida and that was like proper humidity, but it was something different. And sure enough, like, yeah, it was like I was just a deluge of sweat. And so I got an easy ride out in Squamish. I just rode, it was a blue trail. Paul, once again, he's going to be my trail guide for you guys tonight, ladies and gentlemen. He's almost like my tour guide on a Disney ride. What do you call that one? The Jungle Cruise. He's going to tell you the name of the trails I rode. But I rode a blue trail. It was fine. It was like just a flowy trail. But it was like the climb was okay and I felt good on the body and I just kind of needed almost a recovery day because I felt beat up after 3 days at Whistler riding just nonstop tech, you know what I mean? And anybody that's ridden there, ridden Park 3 days in a row, could probably attest to that. So I rode that, and then that was the same night we did the Distillery and everything, I believe. And then after that, I was off to the races to ride the North Shore with Van Can and Dangerous Dave. And he doesn't get that name for no reason. He does very dangerous things, this Dangerous Dave fellow. And it's funny because I actually didn't really know what Dave looked like because I had seen his videos before, but he almost always has a helmet on, and I follow him on YouTube. I didn't realize how big he was. He's got 122,000 subscribers. This guy's an absolute maniac. I'm showing up like I'm the superstar. You know what I mean? He is. It's debatable. But anyways, so we show up, and those guys are so cool, man. Both Van Can, Nick, and Dave were really cool. They just really gave me this it was no pressure tour of the North Shore. And I have to really stress the idea that it was a very no pressure tour because Van Can was like, here's what you're going to see. Here's what it is. No pressure. If you want to do it, great. If not, I'd want to show. And I was stoked on that because a lot of it was a sightseeing tour. It was because some of the skinny stuff that you see out in the North Shore, dear God, so it's one thing to ride a skinny. It's another thing to ride it 6 feet off the ground. All right. So where I'm at, we don't have any skinny practice. So to jump right in and have 6 feet off the ground, you're like, So that reel was very real, wasn't it? Like the video that I did of the North Shore, because a lot of that stuff is you got to have that very tight control of the bike. You got to be able to navigate small planks and steep rock rolls. The North Shore was a whole nother level of riding, a whole nother level. And I'm like, God, of course it breeds world-class athletes out here because, if you can ride the North Shore, if you can ride some of the stuff in Squamish that Josh is talking about, I didn't even go over to the double black stuff in Squamish. I didn't even touch on Squamish. So next time I come out, maybe next year, if I do this trip again or something similar, there's so much to see. There's so much to ride. But now I kind of, know what to expect. Now, I will say, I'm not going to line up too many excuses here. I'm going to only line up a few of them. I will say that something was off with my bars. I had repositioned the stack height and then I put on new brakes, and I have a feeling that I didn't adjust the levers enough to account for the grip, for the finger grip. I think my fingers were too far out. And so a lot of the stuff, I didn't feel like I had good control, coming down the steeps. And so some of the stuff I might have normally done better on, I would have been I was kind of riding uncomfortably. And so something with the cockpit wasn't set up right. And I just want to put that out there, okay, in case Nick says otherwise on any social media platforms. I just want to do some control, some fire control immediately right out of the gate. But the nicest guy in the world, Nick, and Dave was really cool. And so amazing experience out there. Very, very scary stuff. It was proper chunk, proper steep, major features, just the creativity with the woodwork is not something we see out here, and I wish we did. So now it brings inspiration to Everstoke. I would love to build some real skinny practice and stuff. In fact, maybe I'll just turn my backyard into skinny practice. Maybe that's what we need to do. Fire mechanic. I know. Yeah, it's me. I'm an idiot. Just let me know if you come out again, Calirado Kid. I'm booked my next summer vacations and want to make sure I don't have to ride with you. You take it easy, Josh. All right. I don't want to show you up on the trail with my sick jumping techniques. All right. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. We moved the brake angle. I do remember that. No, I know that was fine. I think when I put the brake pads on in the morning, Paul, right before I left, I don't think I brought the levers back in to get enough grip to the bars, but also something felt weird. I don't know. It was interesting. So I just put it out there. I'm just doing a little damage control before we get a little out of control with the North Shore stuff, because that stuff was intense. And I wish we had stuff like that around here. You guys, we've talked about this before in a previous live stream, but you guys ever go into a riding drought when you get back to your local rides? Of course, Josh doesn't because he lives in Bellingham. And then, by the way, is it pronounced Bellingham or Bellingham? What do the locals say? Also, the locals told me that I can't call it Galbraith. I got to call it Galby. That's all the things I've learned thus far. I get yelled at a lot. Now, Paul, for example, the area he rides and things like that, world class. He can go to another place in the world and come back and be like, our stuff's rad. I come back here and I go out to Granite Bay. I'm like, oh, there's a deer. Cool. That's amazing. Oh God, I got to figure out a way to ride that stuff more regularly. That's an absolute guarantee, because the North Shore stuff, the Squamish stuff, the Whistler stuff, world class across the board. The question has been answered. Is Whistler worth it? Unequivocally, yes. You got to get out there. But more importantly, plan some days for Squamish. If you're going through Vancouver, plan some days in the North Shore. Even if you're just hiking your bike through most of it, at least you can get eyes on it and get an understanding of what it is like to ride in those areas, because it is something else. It is something else. But yeah, Van Can and Dangerous Dave showed me the ropes. And it couldn't have been better tour guides. It was fun because when you start riding with other content creators, you want to film stuff. Like we all kind of like, all right, he started filming stuff of him doing skinnies. And so I was like, oh, I got an idea for a reel, and so then we're all just kind of bouncing back and forth, taking our time, chatting. It was great. And that's kind of what the funnest part about some of this stuff is because you can get together with these creators that you respect and you've talked to remotely a lot, but now it was really fun getting a chance to ride with them. And it was like really cool. And that's the greatest part, which bleeds us into, because the North Shore stuff I rode on the way out, basically. So I was in Vancouver, we did lunch, and then it was time to cross the border and get back to the old United States of America, all right? And with that, there was a plan to stop in Portland, okay? And that the Portland trip turned to be very fruitiferous, okay? Fruitful is the word I was looking for, isn't it? Yeah, so we're going to talk about the little stop in Portland I had. I meant to be there a little bit longer, but we were there for one day. And I'm going to tell you about the Portland trip. What do you guys got in chat for me right now? Hold on. Mr. Ladouche says that mustache, it's straight up military grade. It's all icy. Yeah, it's the Ted Lasso. It's the My Name is Earl. I get a lot of comparisons these days, but look, we're trend setting, all right? And the reason why mustaches are trending right now, you're looking at them. All right. And Joe, you're not saying Galbraith correctly. That's why they told you to say Galby. It's Galbraith. No, it's not. Then why not spell it that way? I'm so tired of locals telling me that I'm saying it wrong. Like, okay, for example, like I've grown up near San Francisco, and anytime you call it San Fran, people would eat you alive. You're like, dude, what are you so worried about? Like, I feel like it's just like, it's just managing logistics at this point. I never come to Sacramento. Like people come to Sacramento like, hey man, how's it in Sacktown? I'm like, actually, nobody calls it Sacktown. It's Sac, or Sacramento, or, like, God, I get that so much. It's fine. Everything's fine. I'm screwing everything up. That's what I do. Tom Selleck. Yeah, that's a good comparison. I could see that. I'm out. Steve, good to see you, buddy. Thanks again, brother, for the $100 donation tonight, man. I appreciate you. We got to ride soon. I do want to get down to Santa Cruz. Maybe I need to ride some gnarly stuff down there now that I'm an official world-class athlete. That's exactly right. Top Gun mustache. Yeah. I think Top Gun as a whole, Maverick was an incredible film, and now it's bringing back mustaches. And look, I've been at this game for a couple of years now, haven't I? So I've been here. I've been here for a while doing it. Now, let's talk about Portland. Now, Portland was a place that I planned on spending a little bit more time at. I don't know anything about the riding out there, but it was an opportunity to work with one of my favorite creators of all time, Dustin Klein. I had started following him early before. I probably had the channel at the time, but I had maybe 1,000 subscribers, 1,500. Like, it was very small. I found what he was doing. I really like the way that he works with camera angles on his channel and things like that, and his sure artistic look at things. It's a very, I like channels that set themselves apart. Like, they look different, they feel different. People's personalities are really blasting out on screen. That's why Josh is really good, and No Front Breaks. Like, you see these guys' personalities, and their editing styles are a reflection of their personalities. And so I really appreciated that when it came to Dustin Klein's material. So that was really part of the catalyst of starting this trip, because him and I were talking behind the scenes about doing a collaboration. I was like, how do we do it remotely? And I was like, I don't want to do it remotely because then we have two vastly different backgrounds. I don't know, you could work, but it wouldn't be as fun. So we kind of got on the phone and we talked for an hour, and we were talking about business and we were talking about content creation. And we eventually got to the point where we were talking about, doing a collaborative reel, and we kind of fleshed it out. And one thing he starts to learn about me is that I improvise quite a bit. Like, when I film this stuff, I may have a baseline, but a lot of the lines are improvised on the fly, all that stuff. And he's very good at structure and all that stuff. So as we started to meld our brains together, we came up with a good concept, which changed a little bit when we got to the trailhead, because I was like, well, how can we do this close to the cars? Which there's signs everywhere break-in alert, and I had all my stuff in the truck. So I was kind of winging it and thinking of how could we film this when we're still close to all the vehicles, which came into the mountain biking for the first time video that we worked on. And it was really fun because I love the idea of collaboration stuff, but it was really fun because like now we're sitting there together and I was like, man, okay, here's the line I was thinking of, but how can we make it better? And Dustin's immediate like, what about this? Like the curly bars line, Dustin fed me that. I'm like, oh yeah, perfect. Let me try that. And the camera's rolling. So I'm like, all right, say in line. I'm like, what do you think? And he's like, curly bars. So I made the curly bars line. I was like, oh, it's perfect. And when you see people in chat like comment on like that curly bars, like you're like nailed it. That means that line was good. So as we started to like form that, like it was fun and like, what about this angle? Like, what do we do? And it was a really great collaborative experience overall. Like, again, a 50-50 blend of our brains and like thoughts on lines and how to execute it. And it was like not something that I got a chance to do very often before, right? Because most of the times it's me talking to myself. So it's like, it was really fun, and it made me really like, especially with the success of it, it's doing really well. I don't know if you guys know this, but in a day, it hit 1 million views on TikTok, which means I'm basically a 12-year-old now. But it hit 1 million views within a day on TikTok. Like, that is very promising. There's potential there. But like, also like, that's not why we did it. Why we did it was like a chance to work together. And now I want to like, if I ever get to a position where I'm making enough money on this to like travel around a bit more and get that stuff sponsored, like I love the idea of traveling around and doing collaborations with other creators and coming up with skits that tailor towards their personalities. And like, that seems like just a wild amount of fun, man. It was really cool. And, it was great. And a hidden gem that came out of that trip right there coming into Portland is I ended up meeting this guy called Aaron. And I had talked with him back in the background on YouTube, on TikTok, and on Instagram. He's Super Rider TV. And I didn't know what that meant until he described it to me when we got together. But he was like, hey, I saw you're coming through town. Like, let's hang out. And so like, I had already seen his content. I knew it was great. So we got a chance. We met up for lunch real quick. I was last minute. I was like, I'm driving into Portland like right now. So I'm going to go grab lunch. Like, where do you recommend? He recommended a spot. He was like, you know what? Actually, I can meet you real quick. So we hung out for like 20, 30 minutes there, just talking. And then like I went and filmed and did the stuff with Dustin. Then we ended up I met Aaron over at another spot and we just hung out for dinner and just drank a couple beers and talked. He used to do a lot of Red Bull stuff back in the day for the West Coast. He's big friends with Eric Porter. So it's like cool getting these stories, and like we were just talking all content creation stuff and short form, long form. Like it was just super fun and interesting. And so he's a person that if I had more time, it'd be fun because he specializes in trials riding, which is not something I know a lot about. But it's the idea that like you're navigating your bike up complicated situations. And it was like really cool to talk to him and get his insight on that side of the business, but also learning like his past and what he's done. And I was like, man, I wish I had more time to film like a Calirado's first time on a trials bike sort of thing where I'm just like crashing and falling and like doing all this stuff. So it's like another reason to get back to Portland. It would be pretty rad to work with him. But it was great because like he basically like, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing in this town. He's like, here's where you need to go. Here's your coffee shop. Here's where you should stay. And I was like, boom, made my life so much easier. But if you guys haven't seen Super Rider TV, super cool guy. And again, like it's funny finding out that he was friends with Eric Porter because Eric Porter I ended up talking to in Sedona. And his son's absolutely shred. And which gets me to another great idea for a video. Like it'd be funny as hell if I was like, really built up the idea that I was going to go like ride with a legendary racer, like Eric Porter, a legendary creator, a legendary rider, like all that stuff. Like, dude, he's going to show me the ropes. I'm going to get better as a rider. Like it's incredible. I can't wait to go ride with Eric Porter. And then like I show up and like he sees me ride my bike out of the parking lot. He's like, and then he just has his son teach me instead because his son's probably better than me, like it'd be funny as hell to like me sitting there, like getting reprimanded by a child. Like that would be pretty funny. I got to pitch that idea to him. So again, we talk about these collaborative style videos. Like that'd be funny as hell to me. Like just to come into town and just hang out with Eric and have his kids just belittle me in front of the camera. It'd be funny as hell. I think so. Mr. Ladus, thank you for the $2.99 donation, man. I really do appreciate it. Is that from Canada? Where are you at, man? That's awesome. I love it. Thank you guys for being here. Dustin is so good with the way he organically narrates while things are happening. I know, and it's really wildly interesting with his editing style and all that stuff. It all really comes together, and like, it's so fun. It's just a different style, and I always appreciate that. I really do. You pay him in candy corn. It's almost candy corn season. Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, you guys here? Anybody that's in this live chat right now is you guys are true Calirado fans, right? I really want to bring back the candy corn skits. Should I do it this year? Like I have to, right? Like bigger and better than ever. Should I do a series of candy corn? Can I get candy corn? What company makes candy corn? Can I get them to sponsor it, you think? Do you suppose? That would be incredible. Oh my God. Speaking of which, like, you guys remember the chamois butter popcorn skit that I did? Oh man, I'm stoked on that one. I liked it. It was an idea that I had for a long time, and I was able to finally bring it into fruition. The chamois butter popcorn. Well, I had another idea. So I am planning to work with the old chamois butter company once again, and this one's going to be pretty fun. So I've got another idea for a little bit more of an elaborate reel, maybe per se, and I'm going to be working on that. Hopefully filming it tomorrow is the plan, provided the lighting is just perfect. But chamois butter is coming back into play, ladies and gentlemen, and keep an eye on IG stories and stuff like that. I didn't realize, which is really cool, and this is the stuff you realize when you do stuff with a random product or whatever. They're a family-owned company. They're really small. And getting some of the story behind it is very fascinating. So I was stoked that I'm going to be able to work with them again. And in this case, we're bringing it back. It's not going to be butter this time. It's not going to be popcorn. It's going to be something else. So stay tuned for that one. Hopefully I can film it and get it out to you guys. And I think it's going to be pretty funny. But yeah, if I could reach out to Brox, who's the guys behind the candy corn. Oh my God. The candy corn saga was one of my favorites. I really liked it. If you guys haven't seen the candy corn videos, I will be posting some as we get closer to Halloween. And I'll be teasing some things here and there. All right. Trust me. Trust me. Oh my God, it'll be good. So good. So look, ladies and gentlemen, we're coming up on 2 hours once again. Can you believe it? More importantly, here's what I expect all of you guys to do is if you go back and watch this live stream, will you find any moments where I take a breath? That's the question of the day. 2 hours worth, constant talking, easy. I could do this for 4 hours, guaranteed, but I'm not going to because I don't want to hold you guys over the coals all night long. Bottom line is, it was an incredible Whistler trip. I showed you guys some riding footage, some sneak peeks. Is there any questions you guys have? And while we sit here for the next 20 minutes or so, or whatever it is, you know, we can go, sometimes it goes way longer than you expect. But this is a good opportunity. If you guys have any questions for like video stuff I've done, some of the reels, how I've pulled them off, any suggestions on Whistler, any suggestions on travel, like whatever for this trip, doesn't matter. We're here, we're live, we're doing it. This is the best part, is about we can interact with everybody. You never know, it's going to go off the rails. But I feel like sometimes I miss some things in chat because I get into story mode and it's hard to interrupt me. So like there's probably something I missed in chat, things like that. This is a prime opportunity if you guys have it. Yeah. Where are you? In Austin, right? Yeah. So it's bedtime for him. 2 hours. That's 480 breaths. No, I don't take breaths. Go watch anybody else's live stream and see if they can talk 2 hours straight by themselves. All right. You're going to find there's a very select few that could do it. I think Biker could do it. I think Robert could do it, but it's usually there's guests involved with most people's shows that help pad some of the, I don't like quiet time. All right. I like to be filled with entertainment and dense. And that's hopefully what we've had here tonight. Just wild entertainment and storytelling and all the things that I wanted to tell you guys in the time span of 2 hours. Yeah, I know. Let's see. All right. Are there any things that stand out on this trip that were really, did Paul the Punter take you golfing? No, because Paul knows how wildly bored I am with golfing. Oh my God. I just get so bored with golf. Like, we're not going to talk a lot about golf, but like I did golf lessons when I was a kid. I'm actually pretty decent. I can hit the ball pretty well. But I tell anybody that I go golfing with, I'm like, here's what's going to happen. After about 5 holes, I'll play decent, and then I'm just going to fall off a cliff. I just like, my mind starts wandering. I just like, it's so unengaging for me. I don't know why people like golf so much. Just standing around, watching other people hit a golf ball until it's your turn. Like, it's basically professionally waiting in line. That's what golf is. I figured it out. They've tricked you all. It's basically professionally waiting in line. That's what it is. Yeah, and especially if you're like riding a cart, you're doing even less. Like, you're not even exercising. And then people come back from golf and say they're sore. I'm like, get out of here. Okay, take it easy. All right? I do sick mountain bike tricks for a living, you know? I don't understand why you don't smoke cigars out there. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's who was it that was saying like, no, I don't even like cigars. Oh God, Paul was showing me some good videos. Now, like, there's some good content creators in the golf space too. But yeah, you should make Whistler videos. I was thinking about it, but like, here's the thing. I could throw the riding footage up as like a whole thing and do some like thoughts on it and like some overviews and things like that. But like, is the writing going to be better than anybody else's? I didn't actually commentate over the writing quite a bit. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with the footage, and it's foolish because, you know, all that stuff. But then like, here's what's going to happen. And then like, if I do that video, like, it's just going to be a lot of work and like, nobody's going to care. However, as I get more into the skit style space and I upload videos that are funny and shareable, like, this is just going to go bonkers. It's like, people give me crap on Instagram for not putting writing footage up. But I'm like, nobody gives a crap about me riding my bike. If I put me riding my bike to some music on Instagram, I'm going to get 12 views. If I do a video with Dustin Klein, I'm going to get 1 million instantly within a day. It's like, there you go. So it was a mild flex about how many video views I got. I'm so stoked on that. Oh, it's awesome. Opinion of Galbraith. Oh, I guess I got to call it Galby. Jeff, incredible. Absolutely incredible. I love the trail system. I love the density. I love the labeling. I love how they marked out all the trails. Just a little bit for everybody. Like there was something for everybody there, and it was really dense. And just having Transition HQ close by, you could grab a beer and buy parts. Like it just felt like home. You know what I mean? Like it felt like if you go there, you're going to run into people that you know. It just felt like the place to ride. And I don't know how much more there is out in Bellingham, but man, oh man, Galbraith was a wonder. I would love to live near a trail system that's like that. Like just so much fun, jump lines, all that stuff. Really cool. Really cool. It's fun when trail features. Joe says, it's fun when you make it 18 holes of drunk dodgeball with go-karts. Yeah. Love this golfing take. Was once my opinion too. Now I'm even subscribed to Paul Makes Par. Yeah. And again, like there's not like, that's the best part about the world we live in, ladies and gentlemen. Anybody can have opinions and they don't all have to, they're like everybody's opinions aren't right or wrong. Like they're their opinions. Like I think people sometimes think that people's opinions are like arguable, but it's like, that's just how they feel. Like that's what they think. Like they love golf. You don't like golf? Doesn't mean that golf's stupid. It means that you don't necessarily like golf, but golf is still good and they like it. Like it's like we get in this world of blacks and whites and, you know, like polar opposites and all that stuff where it's like there's a lot of gray area, guys. Just chill out. Don't feel like you need to argue everything. It's easy. You know what I mean? Like, hey, he likes golf. Sweet. Like, awesome. I can give him crap, but like maybe I don't like golf as much. Anyways, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, don't get caught up in all of that. Like, don't think opinions are facts. That's all I'm saying. Just realize that someone's opinion, like, hey, I like this movie. Oh, I like this. That movie's dumb. I didn't like it. Well, it doesn't mean it's dumb. It means you didn't like it. All right. Anyways, that's a side topic for another day. You guys know what I'm talking about, though, right? It's just that simple. Just that simple. Yeah, that's right. I am in California. Correct. 100% correct. Yeah, I live in California. I'm in Northern California. Tommy. Is that Tommy Tabletop? Wow, look at that 99-cent donation. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys spending your Saturday evening with me. Just triggered. Yeah, I know, but it's like, man, just don't sweat the small stuff. I have to explain this stuff to my kids. I'm like, look, I was trying to describe them the other day. I was like, man, how do you describe this to like a 6 and a 9-year-old? Like, I try to describe them like, if you are confident, like in yourself, like for example, like, man, I'm awesome. Like, doesn't matter looks, whatever else. Like, I am a good person. I'm happy with who I am and all that stuff. Like, if somebody comes and tells you got funny looking ears, you're gonna be like, you can either one, get bent out of shape about it, or you can be like, you know what? I'm great. Like, I feel good about myself. Like, I don't have to worry about that. Like, you just write it off and move on in your life. But like, I even remember being in school, like people pick on you for stuff and you're like, oh man, like it's easy to get bent out of shape when you're young. But like, man, how do you teach that lesson? Like, it's so hard. Again, now we're on a wild tangent. This is why you guys need to ask me questions before we call it a night. But like, how do you explain that lesson to a child or to anybody else? Like that seems to get worked up over everything. It's like, man, you really don't need to. You just gotta, if you're confident, if you come in the room feeling great, knowing you're doing good, like boom, like it's a job interview situation. We've talked about this before. If you come in like even with false bravado, like I'm the best. All right. Nobody's going to top what I'm about to tell you. If you come in with that, like a little bit of that's going to bleed through into reality, and you might have a little bit more confidence purveying out of your voice, standing up straight. Anyways. All right. Anyways, there we go. Do you remember your first beer? Yeah, I do. It was a warm Coors Light or something that I had smuggled somehow, some way into my bedroom. And I used to okay, this is a funny story. This is a good question. So I remember specifically, I don't know how we got these warm beers, but like to me, like beer, like, dude, it'll get you messed up. Sick. And I was certainly underage, and I kept these warm beers under my bed at my parents' house. And I would like occasionally like bring one out, like, you know, like, and it was just like insanely gross. It was really awful. And I was like, dude, I'm doing it. You know, I'm really doing it. And, so it was like, that might've been my first one where it was like the experience of like a warm Coors Light under bed Coors Light that had probably been sitting around for 6 months. I don't remember where we got it from. Oh God, just awful. And it's amazing that I've come back for more. I figured by the time I like tell my kids, like, look, well, you know, you want to try something? Try it with me. Let's have a beer, you know, and I'll give them a triple IPA and they'll be like, pfft, and then they'll just be off of it for a while. It'll be fine. Right. That's like, ugh. Yep. Paul Punter says, when you get really good at something, you no longer get worked up about that thing. Yeah. And like, it's that too. It's like, you know, I've trained martial arts for a lot of years. I taught for a lot of years. I still train. My kids train now and all that stuff. And like, one of the things as a teacher, I was always excited about the fact, I was stoked if a student could be better than me. Like I never felt like ego enough to like, be like, I would want to hold that person back from being the best. You know what I mean? Like if they catapulted past my abilities, I was so stoked. And I was like, how can I help you get even better? Like, I don't understand. Like I've heard about boss situations where like bosses are like, I'm the boss. You can't be like better than me. Like it was so interesting to me. Like, and that's something I've always like taken to heart. Like I would love to see people propel themselves. I will help in any way that I can. Like go make me look bad. That's great. Like I want people to succeed and be better. Like that's really interesting to me. Like, there's a lot of people in this world that don't want that because they don't want to look less of them. Like they don't want, right? Like they wouldn't want somebody to succeed more than them because they think it makes them look less. But that's not true. Like if you can help somebody propel themselves to a better spot, man, like that's cool. It's really, I don't know. Anyways, again, this is the end of the evening conversation that you guys have got me started on. That's what you get. We are some real ideas that are floating around in your brain. What are some real ideas that are, oh, you really want to know? All right, here we're deep diving. Mark has asked, what are some real ideas that are floating around in your head? Now, sometimes that comes in the form of the notepad, and I've just taken really elaborate notes. I don't know if I can reveal this one to you guys. I have this currently, and I can reveal some secrets to you guys. I have pitched this idea to a company that makes whiskey, and I think it's a... What the hell happened? Oh my God, that's an unheard of event in a Calirado Kid. The computer rebooted itself. It tried, ladies and gentlemen, conspiracy theories afoot. Let's talk about this, huh? Let's talk about this. What the hell just happened? You guys still here? Wow. What was I about to talk about? Real ideas, pitching it to a company, and then the feed cuts out? We've got a conspiracy theory on our hands, huh? Something's gone awry, all right? Look, ladies and gentlemen, the corporate world doesn't want you to hear what I was about to say, all right? The fact that I've pitched a company with a real idea? No way. No way, no how. They cut the stream off. Unbelievable. I don't know what just happened. That's unheard of for the Calirado Kid live stream. Look, I'm known for professionalism across the board. What just happened here is something that I can't quite describe. And so I don't know. I don't know what to say, ladies and gentlemen, other than, no, I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. No, I left you on a cliffhanger. That wouldn't be one hell of a cliffhanger. I don't know what just happened. The screen went blank, and then I don't know how it even restarted itself. It's weird. The live stream software, and I can show you guys. Look at this. The live stream, we're going to live stream inception. It says we've been still streaming for this amount of time. Hello. Oh my God. Wait, can I do this? Wait, hold on. Now we're here. Stand by. Hold on. I got a great idea. This is going to be great. All right, hold on. Can we do some Calirado inception with oh my God, this is so good. Wait, hold on. Hello. Oh yes. This is what I've always dreamed of. 80,000 of me live on screen talking to the internet. Yeah. Now if I was really professional at this, I would just kind of like do, oh my God, this is the best thing. All right. Sorry. All right. We're getting distracted. All right. We're going to restructure this whole thing. Now I've screwed it all up. All right. We're back. I know. So when we talk about real ideas that I've got, I've actually pitched a company for a whiskey related one, which I think would be really funny. And I think the concept is like, and you guys, I'll flesh this out. I'm working on the dialogue and stuff, but the concept is the guy at the top of the mountain, guy at the bottom of the mountain. The guy at the bottom of the mountain's like, yo man, it's been a rough week. I could really use a drink. Guy at the top of the mountain's like, I got the perfect thing. So he straps the cocktail mixer with like duct tape or something, just something simple. It doesn't need to be crazy. Cocktail mixer on the top, grabs whiskey. He pours it in. We're calling this the downhill sour, right? And then you've got throws a couple lemons in, boom, like that, boom, like that. Big old thing of ice, throw some honey, throw the lid on top. I'm coming for you. boom, starts barreling downhill. Couple shots of that. Like then there's going to be a shot where like you're coming down and then it's just like a shot of the bike coming down like this. And then the lid goes like falls on the ground and the bike keeps hauling off. And then the next shot is like pulling up like this. Guy's soaked, right? Like soaked like this. We're talking about like whiskey and lemon stuck in the helmet and all that stuff. Like, it didn't go as planned, did it? You know, that sort of thing. And the guy's like, oh my God, well, did you at least bring the whiskey? And like something like that, dude, I'm telling you right now, these companies couldn't even imagine producing something this badass. And I pitched it. I'm waiting for them to respond. If not, I'm going to pitch it to another company until they buy on it. You know, and I'm telling you right now, Calirado Kid's in action right now. We're doing big things and we're making big moves, and I'm stoked you guys are here for it. But that's an idea that if I go look at these big companies, they got tons of followings. They got nothing. They got no views on their reels. They got no creative ideas like that. I'm just gonna come to them and say, hey, look, guess what? I'm right here. I'll do it for you. Anyways, that's one. I don't want to give away too many of them, but Mark, I'm glad you asked. And there it is. I know. There it is. All talking endlessly. Wish Joe would win. Yeah, I know. Like, which one of me would win? None of them. It would just be like, oh man, it would be incredible. It'd be incredible. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we've been at it well over 2 hours. This is easy. I could do this all day, but we're not going to. I don't want to hold you guys over the coals. And unless like $80,000 in donations starts rolling in, I'm getting the hell out of here pretty soon. So all kidding aside, you guys never have to donate when you come in here. I just appreciate you guys hanging out. It's an opportunity to do this, and I wanted to tell some stories about Whistler and have it documented for my old memory's sake. And I'm always glad when I can tell some stories and entertain for a little while. And I really do like live streaming. So, I mean, hopefully we can make it work more. I'll be home more regularly. It's starting to get dark out sooner, so there's entirely possible that we'll start doing some fireside chats in the next month and a half or something. Maybe once it starts getting dark around 6:30 or so, we might start thinking about bringing fireside chats back for the winter, and then we'll line up some guests for that and stuff like that. And we'll be back in the outdoors for our live streams. But in the meantime, we can do them live like this, and it's super fun. So I like it. Anyways, let's see. Big Outside MTB says, I think I might have. I don't know about all, but most. You have some of the best content. Thank you. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just learning as I go. And all I could do is make some of the stuff that I think is funny. And if people like it, great. If not, like, what can I do? Like, it's just, it's got to be my sense of humor. It's got to be what I think is cool. And like, if it's not, then it's not it, you know? So it's, if it's great, it's great. If it's not, like, I'm stoked that people like it. I really am, because all it can be is me out for the world. Like, it's just my brain just coming up with something and putting it out there. And it's so fun that there's so many creators that are, you know, making really incredible stuff, and it's all just them. You know, it's like their editing styles and all that stuff. There's so many talented people out there, and it's fun to watch it all happen, man. It really is. Hello for Concord. Wow, look at that. That's not far away at all. Ralph, good to see you. I know Fireside Chats will be coming back. Look, yes, thanks for jumping in. Thanks for the donation tonight. La Douce from Canada. There you go. Have I ridden North Star? Yes, I have ridden North Star. I do like every time I ride North Star, I seem to like it a little more. I like the adventure trails, and the more that I find like the tech stuff, I really do enjoy it. I think it's going to be almost easy compared to Whistler now. So I would be stoked to go back, but I really have to fix my bike. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a spoke missing off the back wheel. The dropper post isn't working anymore, barely at all. I got to retake that thing whole apart again. Dude, like the shifting's not right. Like the whole thing's just, my bike's just in bad shape right now. And hopefully I'll have some time to work on it. But if not, I'll take it to the shop and just let them handle it for me. You know what I mean? Anyways, I appreciate you guys being here tonight. Check up on Instagram. We'll be doing some funny stuff there. I'm working on a new reel. And other than that, that's it. That's all I got for you tonight. Thanks for stopping in, everybody.